and I will see you guys later. On the YouTube side, see you over there. Twitch, yeah, once again, you don't need to go anywhere. I'll be back, and we will flame trench it up. Stand by for loss of signal as expected.
New Glenn second stage roared into life. Shrew 9 is getting ready to launch, and SpaceX is conducting full stack testing ahead of Starship Flight 5. I hope you get ready to be spicy on this week's Flame Trench.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage.
Look at this!
Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You read? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Did you
Hello?
just say Shrew?
What? Yeah,
You
I said
Shrew.
Shrew 9. We'll talk about it. Also, I also said I'm get ready, or I hope you're whatever. I butchered the cold intro. Either way, I'm butchering the real intro too. Hi everybody, I'm Jack for NSF. Welcome to another week's Flame Trench, our informal news show where we talk about the events from the week and get a little bit spicy. As usual, we are joined with our ever competent cohort of co-hosts, starting off with Bookman. Hi Bookman.
Hello, it is me, your friend, Bookman.
Do you like swoop in when kids are illiterate and you teach them to read? Is that what you do?
Stay in school. Learn to read good.
Absolutely. What are you reading this week, EJ?
I have the Systems Engineering Handbook
Nice.
in paperback.
You can tell it's a good textbook because it just says design arbitrarily on the front. Like it says what it is.
Design,
Yeah.
test,
Design.
fly, prestige,
Integrate.
worldwide.
Good deal. Well, thank you, EJ, for joining us and bringing along your Twitch audience as well. Also, Adrian's here. Hi, Adrian.
Hello, I'm so get ready for another episode of the Flame Trench. And I'm looking forward to discuss space news for the next 90 minutes.
Yeah, shout out to Ryan in the back channel who says, I'm get ready, Jack. Are you get ready? Because I butchered the cold intro. And he typed that literally as we were going live. So if you liked the butchered actual intro, you can thank Ryan Caton for that. But wait, we're only doing 90 minutes this week? We got something special going on? What's the deal?
I think we'll talk in a bit about that, but there's a museum show following up about this.
Excellent. All right, well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about a lot of things. There's been a lot going on this week. Let's start off by talking about Shrew 9. No. Let's start off by talking about New Glenn's second stage conducting a static fire test over in Cape Canaveral Launch Complex 36. EJ, what's going on with New Glenn?
So, Blue Origin took their GS2 Flight 1, I think, second stage, and they put it on Slick 36. I don't know. Do we call Slick 36 a twin pad launch complex anymore? I mean, technically it's Slick 36A, but it's not. But it is. Slick 36B is concrete. Like, what?
Blue Origin
What do you
refers
think,
to it as LC36. That's how Blue Origin refers to it, and I know there are
Okay.
some Blue Origin fans that will be very angry if you call it Slick.
That was its name.
Yeah, no, it's Slick 36, right?
No,
I'm
but
not gonna.
Oh, are we gonna start this already?
I'm not gonna
No.
call it Lick 36. That's just weird.
Well, then you have to say LC. So they tested it at LC 36. They did a 16-second hot fire of their second stage, which has two BE3Us on board. BE3Us are pretty much they're a Hydrolox motor that is the most powerful expander cycle that I know of, unless somebody has another one lying around. Tests seem to be pretty good. We didn't get that much footage. Like if you look at this footage right here, you can't really see too much going on there. You can't look. You're definitely not looking up at the engines, but the flamey bits coming out the bottom does seem the motors seem kind of healthy. They seem pretty healthy there from those shots. You're getting You're obviously getting some insane under expansion because these are vacuum engines and they have their sea level extensions on them per what Dave Limp said on X a little while ago. But yeah, Hot Fire is really cool. This is one of the last things that Blue's really going to do before they get ready to start a flight campaign for their second, now first, New Glenn flight that's going to happen sometime, I think, in November. They were going to launch on Escapade. They were going to launch the Escapade mission in October, but NASA and Blue moved that to early 2025. So
Right.
their second flight is now their first flight. So yeah, Blue, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, is really ramping up, and yeah, I'm looking forward to see a New Glenn launch out of LC36.
We do have a poll in chat. Option A is LC36. Option B is Slick 36. Sorry,
Ooh, I like Lick.
it's
That's
LC,
good. We should do
SLC,
that.
Slick, and Lick. Those are your choices.
It's LC.
Really?
Yeah.
What would Harry Stranger think of that?
LC36. If you don't call it LC36, you actually get angry DMs from Harry.
Oh no, I've never gotten an angry DM from Harry Stranger. Maybe
I want an angry DM from Harry.
maybe we'll unlock a new achievement on this stream, EJ.
I'm not sure.
Alright.
Yeah, like you maybe like you wake up tomorrow when he like is offset by Australian time and you get like 10 DMs from Harry. Like it's not Slick.
What do we think of the name of the first booster? So you're telling me there's a chance? That's a Dumb and Dumber reference, right?
Yep. Amazing.
Adrian, I
Adrian, go.
saw on the flyover video that we just put out, which was great. Came out yesterday. You should watch it. You don't get this reference, do you?
No, of course not. But I knew it's a meme, so I knew it was from something. So I knew the meme, and that's
Hey,
why.
Adrian, you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Don't
What?
say yes. Don't say yes.
Yes. It's problem is the moment somebody tells me to not say yes, I have to say yes.
Well, I ruined it then. So you're telling me you had an extra set of gloves this whole time?
Dude, I don't remember the
I'm so lost. I'm so lost.
But yeah, they named the first booster, so you're telling me there's a chance. It's a Dumb and Dumber reference. Don't act like we should expect you to not get the reference, Adrian. There are some movies that you've seen. Like I can never tell.
Yeah. But yeah, it's quite a. I think it's a cool naming that they're going for. I mean, just from the idea behind it, because of course they're trying reusability from the get-go. They wanna reuse that. They wanna land that, and they wanna attempt that from the beginning, and land that booster on drone ship Jackman. And that is, it's gonna be quite a view either way. And I love also their commitment. Like we always wanted Blue to be a bit more like open to risk, and a bit more like a bit more like what this almost startup character. And I love their approach of like David Lim, where he says like, yeah, if we hope it works, we hope we land it, and if we don't, well, we keep on trying. And I love that. I love this Blue this change in Blue a bit, like over the last few months and years, where they are becoming like a bit of a different company. And I'm looking forward to New Glenn, but I'm known to be a bit of a New Glenn fan.
I mean, I think we all are fans of large rockets, and especially first flights of new rockets. It's an interesting engine. We've only seen it fly once on Vulcan so far, so it'll be a treat to see. And yeah, I'm with you, Adrian. I am all for this sort of new Blue, for lack of a better. I mean, it does feel like there's sort of been a sea change, right, EJ?
Yeah, ever since Jeff Bezos stepped down as Amazon CEO and started focusing like solely on Blue, and then he brought Dave Limp in there, it's like a totally different company. I'm really happy to talk them up. Like I've always talked up Blue Origin. Like they just because they're not telling you things doesn't mean they're not doing things, and always got heckled a lot for that. It's like, oh my god, dude, tell me when they make it into orbit. I'm like, dude, they just built like a full factory like at the cave, and like no, they're not going to do that. It's like, oh, okay. But now now you look at the hardware, and I do understand that too. Like, talk is cheap in the spaceflight program. Like people say, oh, we're going to solve full reusability. It's like, okay, I'm going to the moon tomorrow too. Like on my moon rocket, talk is cheap unless you see the hardware. It doesn't matter. And I think with Blue, between Tim Dodd's video with Jeff, which is fantastic. Tim, you're the man.
So good.
And just all the stuff that they've been posting, being more active on social media, right? Yeah, dude, they got hardware. They got a lot of hardware.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
oh, it's great. It's fantastic.
To all the doubters too, which hello. I've been a doubter for some time, though I've remained excited for New Glenn to come online. I've always been one of those people that's like, show us the hardware. If you're really ready, show us the hardware. And sure enough, over the last 6 months, 8 months, a year, they've really been showing off all their hardware. But to all the doubters out there, and I'm speaking as much to myself as anybody else, their frickin' slogan is gradatim ferociter, step by step, ferociously, in Latin. Like, did you expect anything else from this company? But to Adrian's point, the willingness to take a risk on Flight 1 of New Glenn and openly fail, have a public failure, that's the sort of thing where it's like, yes, okay, we're 100% here for that.
Yep, absolutely. I recently also talked with, when we wrote the flyover, and I talked with Harry during that. And you know what's also changed about Blue? Remember that painful warehouse expansion on their hangar that took I don't know, a year to finish, and it was just this tiny, relatively tiny expansion, and we are like, oh, they're going so slow. If you look at our flyover from, I think it was July, and now look at the flyover that we just published, they have increased their building pace as well. It's not only that we are seeing them now speeding up the main hardware process. They are also building buildings faster. They are getting like structures faster ready for New Glenn and other hardware they want to produce. So it seems like something clicked in this company, and they're really trying to push ahead now. And I really like that because, you can dislike or like Jeff Bezos, whatever you want, but that guy usually understands A, scaling, and B, automation. Like these kind of two things he has
exactly
has a bit of a feeling for. I don't know if you'll know this company called Amazon. It's kind of crazy, and I'm glad I hope that this expertise is now starting to be implemented at Blue Origin, because, well, he should be really, really good at scaling. That's kind of his thing. So
right, and I believe he even said as much in one of the two parts of Tim's tour and interview with him. He spends most of his time on Blue Origin now. That's why he stepped back from Amazon, and he's a scaling guy. He's an optimization kind of guy, and it definitely seems like Blue Origin is at that point where those skills will come in really handy. Look at that parking garage. Jeez. So
that would happen in 3 months.
Wow.
What my guys are trying to tell you here, guys, is that Jeff Bezos is probably the most legendary Factorio player ever. Ever. That's what they're trying to say.
Yeah. Like, he plays all the automation games. Everything.
Oh yeah. He's pretty good. Pretty good. He's just playing it in real life, though.
Yeah,
Elon is too, but
he deep dived in Satisfactory as well. Like, as soon as it came out, Jeff Bezos probably took a week off just playing the 1.0. That's what I'm talking about.
But as
it's a great game.
As
just
we've
playing
been
it.
Showing on screen, that is the flyover we published yesterday. So just a quick reminder: do check that out if you haven't already. The team puts a lot of work into those flyovers, and there's an amazing intro with an excellent image of both Adrian and Alex. So props to Ryan for picking the best possible images of both of you for that.
Can we talk about the dent in the roof, because I still think it's funny.
Oh yeah. No, Kevin, don't show it. Don't show it, because then they won't watch the video. They need to go watch the video to see the horrible pictures of Adrian and Alex. But yes, there is a small spoiler.
Did we just have horrible pictures of Ryan up on screen then?
No, that's fine. Cool. Every picture of Ryan is horrible, so you're good.
That's so mean.
Hey, he messed up the intro by DMing in the back channel. I mean, come on, he deserves it.
Remember a few months ago, I think at this point, where we heard that second stage of Blue Origin had a bit of a overpressure event, I will call it. We got
Yes.
some really, really good proof, and I know it's in the document as well. If you're, the picture should be in a document. If you want to grab that. But the two-cat is basically where they
Meow.
test. It's a second stage cleaning and testing facility. And at the
Was the
Was
second stage.
Well,
Was the, sorry,
and-
no, it's still there.
and the
It's still
funny
there.
thing is, our crew flew over it, and you can spot a bit of the hint that there might be a bit of an overpressure event there with the giant dent there that is just in the roof.
Okay, let's
That-
talk about this for a second because this is really interesting to me. When I hear overpressure event, in my head, I sort of automatically think, a tank bursting or something along those lines. This looks like maybe the burst or the overpressure event occurred on the lower down on the second stage, causing it to shoot up and hit the roof.
I mean, it didn't only hit the roof because there's also door panels all over the front where the door's
Right.
missing.
EJ, have you ever played Max Payne? Any of the Max Payne games?
Yeah.
Like when you whack one of the air cylinders or whatever, you can whack the air
Yeah.
cylinder with a crowbar and then it starts going flying around. That's basically what I imagine happened with the second stage, except inside the two-cat. You think that's a fair characterization?
I think Adrian's right. It looks like this thing decided it didn't want to be a second stage tank somewhere down the bottom, and we had more of a radial explosion than up top. I mean, still though, even if it unzips itself on the side, cast your mind back to when NASA posted them Boeing testing the SLS hydrogen tank, and it unzipped and popped like a balloon. Even if it blows the doors out the side, hinting at a sideways explosion, something's still going to go up.
Right.
The top dome will still act like a bottle rocket and hit the ceiling, which is I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Yikes.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, I believe in the aerospace industry we call that an oopsie doopsie.
Right,
Mm.
it's the technical term.
Yeah.
Yep.
So be sure to check out the flyover. Again, team puts a whole bunch of work into it, so we want you all to see it in case you didn't get a notification. Or we also published it later. So I don't know. Maybe if you liked the publishing time or disliked it, let us know in the comments. You know the drill.
Scott and reverse whack-a-mole. Precisely. Yes. Yeah. There you go, man. There you go.
Yeah.
That's right, Scott.
That's perfect.
And just to underline the whole Blue Origin has a lot of hardware things. The one other thing, that's the last thing I'm spoiling from the flyover, by the way, is the fact that there's another thrust section again in the TCAT as well, which is, of course, the first stage cleaning and testing facility. And there's also another thrust section in there being tested right now, and they have other tanks flying around, and we see them entering buildings, or they have ring sections. So there's a lot of hardware at Blue right now. It's not only the first flight,
beautiful.
because that's probably not the first flight anymore, because we have seen that booster is already, very much for advanced. So that's probably a second, third flight that is already being tested there as well. So they're scaling, and I love to see this. I love this picture. The moment we saw in that TCAT, oh, they're testing again. They're testing another part. That feels good to me. That feels really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we do have a bunch of questions coming in, and chat. If you have any questions, don't forget you can @ NASA Spaceflight and type it in the chat there, and we'll see it pop up in some software we have running in the background. So, the first stage for New Glen's first flight is going to be called. So you telling me there's a chance? Cool content is asking, do we think there will be a chance that they successfully land on the first try? EJ, I'll let you go first because you're nodding emphatically.
Yeah, I think they'll do it. I think they'll land it on the first try. And
See, this is great because Adrian is now your opposition, but I know he also thinks they'll land it on the first try. But now that he's in the right box and the ding ding sounded, he has to advocate for no. This is amazing. Continue, please.
I think there's enough. They have enough testing data. There's flight data on BE4s, right? So the miles of test stand data, and now you have data on integrated upper stage testing here. So, I mean, you see a static fire of the GS1 stage, and they basically got all their bases covered. I think Blue has plenty of experience landing boosters on suborbital trajectories, and I think that is very pertinent here. And I think they'll do it. I think it'll be fine.
So I have to take the opposite side here. So I'm trying to make that argument here. So I think they will run into some scaling issues because nobody has ever tried to land a rocket stage this big, right? Like it's the biggest. It's bigger than Falcon 9. Falcon 9 is the only one that has landed so far. So there we go. It's the biggest rocket stage ever to land so far. And I think there's just a very, very big difference between, and also in the margins between what New Shepard can do and how long it can. It's a bit of a different in a lot of things, and also they have to understand and learn more about high speed reentry, because that's the one thing that they are not fully doing with New Shepard yet. It's not as fast as an orbital rocket booster, so I think they maybe have some learnings in the reentry part. Again, I'm kind of on that side, but I'm trying to make the argument here, for the sake of the show.
I love it. Way to go, Kevin. Good job putting Adrian on the spot. But no, that's a fair assessment. He's so mad.
And if it to be fair, and if it goes wrong, and if there's still a good chance it goes wrong. Like I think everybody here agrees. Like it's landing your rocket booster. That's not easy. So if it goes wrong, they show that they want to learn from that and they want to do it better next time. That's the right approach. That's good. If you don't bank, like they don't bank on it working, but they hope it works. They try
you can study and model all you want, but as Das loves to say, there's no truth like ground truth. I don't know if you've actually said those exact words, but Das is always wanting to get ground truth, right? At a certain point, you need to actually fly and get real-world flight data. So, for the record, I do think there's a fair chance that they land New Glenn successfully on the first try. I don't know what percentages I would ascribe to that. Probably like 70-30, 80-20. Maybe I'm being wildly optimistic, but I tend to agree with EJ that they have so much data from landing New Shepard. I agree with Adrian that that's a little bit different than New Glenn, but yeah, I don't know, Adrian. You should just not be so pessimistic about Blue Origin. I don't know why you like that.
I hate this role right now because I'm like also at 80-20, but I'm like, oh yeah, you don't see Adrian is the pessimist now.
But
dude,
yeah.
I had to argue on behalf of the FAA last week. All right, wait a minute, wait a minute,
Yeah.
wait a minute. I did not want to do that.
But yeah,
we'll talk more about that later.
You got to do what you got to do, right? But yeah, landing boosters is hard. You know what also is hard? We have some breaking news in regards to landing a Dragon capsule. There's a new contingency for Dragon capsules, starting with Crew 8, which is already in orbit. In the event of all 4 parachutes failing to deploy, SpaceX will be able to use the Super Draco launch abort system to perform a soft splashdown in the ocean. That's so cool, and not something I expected to even be on the list of possibilities.
Really?
So now it's a launch abort system and a landing assist system, an emergency landing system. It's launch escape and landing assist. I don't know what to call it, but this is cool. What give me some live reactions to this.
Jack, I have an idiot question, and maybe chat could help me out with this. With what fuel are you going to fire those with?
Do they normally vent that fuel before re-entry?
Well, no, they don't. I don't think they vent fuel. I mean, judging by they have guys, during recovery operations, they're sniffing the Dragon left and right for hypergulls. The reason why, guys, is because the propellants that Dragon uses are very stable and they can stay liquids up there for a long time. They don't decompose. I mean, not for a long while, but they're also hazardous to humans. But I mean, you're presumably, unless Dragon has an insane fuel margin here, which maybe it does. I mean, but I'm pretty sure, you're gonna have a lot of fuel on there.
Yeah, I would love to know more.
I mean, it's still cool. Don't get me wrong.
I would love to know more of the nitty-gritty details in terms of when this can be used or activated. For example, does this does this assume that they're like you're coming in, you're re-entering, there's no drogues, there's no shoots, there's no nothing, it can still get the job done, or is it anticipating the drogues at least being out, so that you're getting some slowdown and stability from the drogues, but then the parachutes fail? I'm super curious exactly how this.
I see some people saying in chat, Dragon. I see some people saying in chat like Dragon was, 1062. You're saying it was designed for propulsive landing. Yeah, but they've changed a bunch of things since then.
Yeah,
right?
And as far as
they've
we know, to make certification with NASA more simple and save a whole bunch of money and time, SpaceX sort of took propulsive landing off the roadmap. At least that's what we thought. That's why this is so surprising. Like, it's always supposed to have been able to do this or something like it, and we thought, they took it away. And now it's back, or it's here in earnest.
I mean, it's still cool. Like, I like, okay, here's the thing. I have that idiot question, like, oh, what are they going to land with fuel? But let's be real here. Like, we don't know more than Steve Stitch about this. Like, that's the guy that runs the commercial crew program for NASA. We definitely don't know. If he says it's good, it obviously has the fuel to do it, right? Like, I think that's the flip side of my question, right? Like, I think that's right. It obviously does have the fuel. I think I remember reading somewhere that Dragon's fuel margins are way over engineered for what it is, but who knows?
Adrian, any quick reacts to that news? I think it's pretty dang cool.
It's pretty dang cool. I hope it never is used.
I mean, yeah.
I'm kind of with you on that one.
My initial reaction is, that's really cool. I hope I never see that.
Yeah, right. Unless they move to propulsive landing as like a common way to actually land the capsule. Wesley Hale's saying it uses
and test it.
Right, test the heck out of it. I mean, maybe they could test it with no, not with Cargo Dragon, because it doesn't have the Super Dracos for launch aboard, right?
I honestly would fit it with them, right? Fit it with them and see and test that there first.
Right, that would make a lot of sense. Wesley Hale in chat saying it is using the launch abort fuel. Right, that makes sense.
That's the same fuel. There's the same fuel as the RCS.
Right.
It's this. The Super Dracos and Dracos are tapped into the same plumbing, if I'm remembering correctly. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't have any inside information. I think SpaceX said that themselves.
Does that mean that they land pretty fueled up? Oh, I don't know if I'm going to... yeah, okay, I am going to 3. Are they pretty fueled up?
I mean, if what EJ's saying, and then they're like that they're way over-engineered on propellant margins, then they should have that well in their margins. I mean, wasn't there a point where Dragon was supposed to be able to land propulsively on any surface in the solar system or something along those lines? I remember an Elon tweet from years ago saying something to that effect. Remember Gray Dragon?
Yeah, Gray Dragon, Red Dragon. That's what they designed it to do. I believe they wanted to do it at the time to test propulsive landings for first stages. I think that's like way old school SpaceX. We're talking like Falcon 5 old school SpaceX. If you're OG SpaceX fan, you know what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah, Chris in our back channel saying it's the press club Elon speech. That makes sense. So clearly something that they haven't forgotten about over time, because now they're implementing it. That's so cool.
I mean, I also know there's like at least enough significant of these more hazardous propellants that they are doing hazardous gas measurements before they like approach the capsule, because we know that they are taking like gas measurements because, well, hypergolics tend to be a bit bad if you breathe.
Yeah, do not breathe the spicy orange cloud. It's generally not good for you. We're kind of jumping around a little bit because we did get that breaking news in. But yeah, let's see. A couple more blue questions. Supersonic Retro
questions?
Propulsion, great name.
Good name.
Is saying, if Blue's able to land the first booster, do you think it'll fly again? Or do you think they'll tear it apart and do a whole bunch of, research on it? EJ, you can go first.
All right. Again, I would probably take that thing apart. Take it apart, learn, understand it. I mean, reuse another one later. Like the second one, if it lands good too, like the second GS1 first stage, if that thing lands in one piece, you've validated that, from taking apart the first landing booster, that it'll work, that you can use it again. because they took it apart and inspected. You know, you did the same thing, right? 2 different boosters, the same thing, get the same result, right? So take one apart, inspect it, maybe put it back together and fly it again later. But I think they'll take it apart, and then the second one they'll probably try to fly twice. That's just a guess, though. I don't know.
Yeah, that would make sense. Adrian, what do you think?
Absolutely. I think that the risk to, like, because you're still early in your whole landing program, and the risk to lose it versus the gain you can get from analyzing all of the things you're going to learn from a rocket that has landed. Like, there's not only, especially in the beginning, there's not only something you can learn there for landing in the future. There's also a lot of things you can learn about, like your engine's wear and tear for the main burn phase. You can get so much data out of that for the main ascent as well. So why won't you use that prime opportunity to look at a rocket stage once again after it has flown and learn from the future? I'm 100% with EJ here. They're gonna.
Yep.
That booster's not gonna fly again. It's gonna fly maybe in like helicopters to other facilities or something. In small little pieces.
Right. Das and Alicia, what do you guys think? Also, Das and Alicia are here.
Wait, what?
Do you think they'll refly
I
the
guess
first
that's
landed
as
Glenn?
loud as it's going to go. So
Can I amplify it somehow on my phone? Or?
I was going to plug the headset in, but on the
Oh.
external.
Are you there? Can you hear it?
Intrepid, this is the Flame Trench, UHF comm check.
Beep.
We'll know when we appear.
You're appearing. You're here.
Can't actually hear what they're saying.
Intrepid,
Can
this
y'all
is the
hear
Flame
us right now?
Trench,
Oh, there we
UHF
go.
comm check.
Wait, I got to back the camera up. There, okay.
Hi, everyone.
You
I
should
see a
talk.
shuttle.
I'm holding the camera.
I mean,
Alright,
chat, I see a
so-
shuttle. No, I see a
Should I
shuttle.
talk?
Can you guys hear him? I can't hear him, but I see a shuttle.
I don't know if DJ's talking or
That's
what.
good. I like
Join
shuttles.
us.
Shuttles are good.
I think.
6:30.
Is EJ talking?
Are they listening to us? I don't know what's going on.
We
Oh,
can
good
now
grief.
hear you. We can finally hear
can't
you.
hear us.
6:30 for a fabulous talk between 3 former NASA astronauts. We have Mike Massimino, we have Tom Jones, and we have Sydney Gutierrez. They are 3 amazing fellows, and they're going to be here talking all about the space shuttle and their time in space. And we are under a space shuttle.
We are under a space shuttle. Like, I mean, actually,
What better place to talk about space shuttles than under a space shuttle, right?
the jack stands. Wait, the wheel well is. Let me get over there. There's the wheel well, and then this jack stand back here is nothing to play with. There's another wheel on this side. They actually got the big connection points where they would actually the load bearing points where they would connect the shuttle to the stack. Yeah, but the stage is this way.
Yeah.
See, there's going to be a presentation happening over here.
About space shuttles. So
This
go
camera,
ahead.
this camera is like cropped a little bit, so I'm not like showing everything. In-
Very cool.
In true form, we've got some folks asking us what time this starts while we're standing here live.
There we go.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, you can join us at home here at 6:30. We are going to get tossed to from
That's
the
true.
spicy flame trench.
From the
which
flame
I
trench.
Hope you guys are having a spicy time. We're checking mics.
Apparently, we're checking mics. Yeah. I don't see it over there, but anyways.
But yeah, so join us. It's going to be great. We're having, and if you're local, come to the Intrepid Museum. We are having astronomy night right now.
It's Free Friday.
It's Free Friday.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
come for free. We've got activities going on down in the hangar right now. You can build your own Mars rover and do all sorts of fun stuff down there. Talk about careers in astronomy and space. And then up here we'll be doing a demo, and then also our feature presentation, and then also a book signing. You can meet with all of the astronauts as well immediately afterwards.
That's why we're here.
Tom Jones wrote a really cool book called Space Shuttle Stories, behind the scenes with like all 135 missions. So I know we've got space shuttle fans out there.
That's what I titled the stream.
Did you?
Like, the stream is titled Space Shuttle Stories
That's
because
what
it's
it is.
3 astronauts telling stories about space
And
shuttle.
that's the name of his book. And look, guys, I wore my space shuttle
Wait,
ears.
let's see if I can.
They're pretty amazing.
there
Look
you
at
go.
that. They're beaded. Look at that. I understood the assignment.
Nice.
All for you.
All right.
All for you. All for you.
Love
Are we
it.
good?
Yeah, we're good.
I think that's what we're
I
supposed
have
to
no
do.
idea if they can hear us.
I assume they can hear us.
We can hear you.
I'm not reading chatter. I'm just holding my phone
We're
up like
having
this
a
is my.
great time.
Yeah.
We're having a great
Look, it's this live stream setup is here. I've got live stream. I've got that. I've got cameras. They're trying to do mic checks. Maybe I should do the mic check.
We should probably check this out. We're going to hand it back to you guys. We got work to do.
All right, back to the flame trench.
They also have work to do with their cable management. Tisk tisk, Das.
Dang, man.
I mean, it's the flame trench. We're supposed to be spicy. But yeah, that is going to be
you're
a
not
treat.
wrong.
So stay tuned until that happens. We're gonna throw to the museum show. So once you've had your fill of flame trench, we'll throw to them. I'm hearing myself, and I feel like I'm going crazy.
Well, I think I'm going crazy. Wait, what? Sorry.
Did you ever realize how hard it is to talk when you can hear yourself?
I actually I'm at this point very good at just ignoring that. I feel like I don't know. Don't you use that live monitoring where you like live monitor your microphone
Nope.
to your headset so you can hear yourself better?
No, I hate hearing myself. Why would I do that?
Because then I can hear easier when I sound off.
I'll record something and then I'll check the audio, or I'll look at the levels while I'm recording. But I can't do the monitoring. It would drive me crazy. But yeah, hey, museum show, yay!
See, that's what I do with recordings. I record for like a flyover, and then I check if the focus was actually focused, and then people get mad at me because it wasn't.
Oh, we're so off the rails. Does your camera have a mode where it will detect your eyes? Like when I do SBU or whatever when I'm recording, I set it to detect people and detect eyes, and then it just auto focuses right on my eyes, which goes against everything in my film school nature that I learned. But you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
I only know this NVIDIA broadcast feature that they now have where they always correct your eyes to look at the camera no matter where you look, which is so freaky.
Hate that.
Like, it's so
Awkward.
freaky.
Hate that.
Prolonged eye contact. Prolonged eye contact.
Yeah, I think Apple does a similar thing in FaceTime. It's like don't do that. But yeah, space shuttle stories is going to be what they're one of the things they talk about on the museum show. So stay tuned for that.
Dude, I have that book.
Why didn't Why didn't you start the show with that book, EJ? That would have been perfect.
Why didn't you tell me that's what they're discussing, man?
I blew it. I really blew it this time. I'm sorry.
SMH my head, Jack.
Hey, at least my cable management isn't atrocious. I'm just kidding. It's completely atrocious.
Mine is.
Yeah, mine's really bad. I will not be showing it. Cool. Let's do more questions. Let's wrap up New Glenn. And I wasn't saying your cable management is atrocious, EJ. It was a callback to DOS's.
All right.
The last thing I would want to do is offend you. Even though whatever you think about trucks is wrong. I don't know. It's not wrong. You're right. I can't even try. Let's do some more questions. James DeLoach is asking,
what is happening right now?
So many things. Will the Jacqueline drone ship be unmanned for the attempted landing? I presume yes. Do we have like any official word on that?
It's a guess, but I would say don't go near it when the rocket's near it.
Tendency and common sense for me is also don't stand where rocket lands.
That rhymes. That's really good. I was trying to come up with like a don't come a knockin' if this car's a rockin' kind of thing, but with a rocket and a drone ship. Like don't stand where the rocket lands. That's pretty good. I think we're done. I think we successfully workshopped a rhyming statement for Good job. Good work, everybody. All right, that's the show. Thanks, everyone. No, I'm kidding. Good question from James, though. Lords of the Random is asking, with Starship being fully reusable and presumably much cheaper, do you think New Glenn will not be used very much? Starship would in general be a much better option, right? Not necessarily. I mean, I do think, this is me talking here, Starship is rapidly approaching, if not already, the size of a rocket that it almost is hurt by how big it is. Like, you can only launch it in very specific places. You can only launch things on it, either very massive payloads or a lot of little payloads. So you're not going to go to a specific orbit. You're just going to kind of get dropped off in space by the space bus. I don't know. EJ, what do you think? Do you think New Glenn will not be used very much? I see it being a workhorse.
I mean, I don't really see a scenario where no, I think it'll launch more. If you're asking, The question was presumably like, oh, if Starship's flying every day, what makes you think New Glenn won't do that too?
I mean, you could apply the same. Like you could take New Glenn out of it, and apply the same thing to Falcon 9. Like with Starship coming online, do you think Falcon 9 won't be used very much anymore? And the answer to me is, oh, they're still going to use the heck out of Falcon 9, at least for the foreseeable future. I mean, if only because it's crew rated and NASA approved for ISS missions and what have you. So I think Falcon 9, even if you snap your fingers and made Starship fully operational tomorrow, I think Falcon 9 has a long future ahead of it because it's so optimized. Yes, Adrian, that is how you snap your fingers.
I think that, you're particularly from a NASA standpoint with sustainable lunar development. You guys, remember with SLD, which is the second commercial lunar lander that NASA's fielding behind Starship HLS, right? SLD still uses a lot of refueling. You're going to need to fly on a high launch cadence. So I think it's reasonable to assume that New Glenn is going to be very reusable and very rapidly able to be turned around, right? And I also, and this is, okay, so that part's pretty fair. Like, this is the part where EJ kind of, let's get the tinfoil hat here. I think it would be kind of foolish to assume that Blue isn't trying to do some type of second stage reusability. I mean, think about it. You got to think of what Blue's core mission statement is. Their core mission statement isn't to go to Mars like SpaceX, right? SpaceX is hell-bent on going to Mars. That's cool. Blue is really looking towards working in space and living there instead. They're hell-bent on going to space. So it's much more about the in-space architecture. So keep in mind, second stage reuse doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a Starship ripoff that comes back down and there was Project Jarvis and it's stainless steel. They're copying it. No. The second stage could be reusable as an on-orbit tug. And in that regard, their sustainable lunar development makes a lot more sense. Because Blue to complete their contracts with NASA in field a lander by the end of the decade, they need to do on-orbit refueling. They need to do, prop transfer. They need to have loiter times for their stages. So it might be reusable, not in a way that we think, but the second stage might be reusable up there, not down here. And if you're supporting a high launch cadence because you're using hydrolocks in your second stage, yeah, it's reasonable to assume that New Glenn can fly a lot, right? I think that, it's kind of crazy to not think that they're doing that. You see the scale, look at the hardware. That stage is huge, guys. It's basically a reusable S4B at this point. You have expander cycles on those motors. They can fire as many times as they want because physics.
Yeah, don't think of New Glenn as a Falcon 9 class rocket. It is a much bigger rocket, right, Adrian?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to underline this whole thing, we know Jarvis exists. Blue Origin at some point explored what some key technologies for landing a second stage. We have seen them experimenting with it. It doesn't seem like they're high focus right now. I don't think they're like pushing all full forward. They really want to get launching again and land their first stage first. But we have seen testing and commitment in the past from Blue Origin to be interested in fully reusability, and I don't think it will be I don't think it will not come. It's just a matter of when. And I think they have a lot of market providers right now who have a lot of interest in at least having two providers. And we actually did a video on that a bit ago. But if you're right now in a situation where of course SpaceX is the dominant market leader in loads of fields, so they often get these majority share contracts. But then if we are looking at the 60-40 contracts or the 50-50 contracts, there's always room for a second rocket. The Space Force tends to for example, to have redundancy in providers and rockets. So they have some interest in funding New Glenn. And spoiler, the Space Force has a bit of money. And they tend to not really for them, if we assume Starship launches for, I don't know, 10 million, make some crazy number, whatever. And Blue Origin with New Glenn is somewhere at 80, 70 million. Well, at some point, the Space Force is probably fine paying for a second provider that is reusable because they still have a capable rocket and have additional company and rocket redundancy. So, yeah, I think there will be lots of New Glenn flights, plus Kuiper.
Yeah, Kuiper's a big one. That's a really good point. Also, I do want to just go back briefly and touch on what. Also, were you watching a dragon propulsively land at LZ1? What's going on?
It's not even LZ1. That's the skid strip.
Must be an older SpaceX video. Pretty neat.
That's a really old
This is like
SpaceX. That's the one I was talking about
It's really
from a
old.
long time ago.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I do want to go back to what EJ was saying. Starship is not the only way to do full reusability. Full reusability, funnily enough, does not require that your second stage actually comes back to Earth. If New Glenn just keeps launching, getting recovered, and throwing second stages that can be tugs in orbit, and you can refuel those tugs, then pretty soon on orbit you have a whole entire fleet of space tugs. That's a completely different fully reusable architecture than, say, Starship, where you're like, yeah, let's bring the second stage back down to Earth. That's really interesting that you mentioned that, EJ. Good thinking. Let's do some more questions. B1062 is asking, has Adrian seen The Fifth Element? Yes.
Yes.
Although I had to keep yelling at you to not be looking at your phone.
It's a thing, you know. It's
Kids these days.
Wait, you're on your phone during a live cast?
No,
No,
he was on his phone when I showed him The Fifth Element, and I kept having to be like, "Put your phone away."
I'm
You're missing
never
a good
on my phone
part.
during a
God.
live cast. Like that's the only like I would never have my phone even near me while we are live. But doing a movie, I mean, to be fair, we also did some work in Boca, and it was a good while watching The Fifth Element. I could also look at other messages. Are you really watching a movie 2 hours straight without looking anywhere else?
I mean, yeah,
I feel like I'm.
that's what a movie's for.
No, I do that in the cinema, but if you watch it at home, do you really put your phone away and just watch a movie for 2 hours?
I mean, it depends on the movie, but generally, yeah.
I always
It's
second screen movies.
What?
I feel like I'm getting some hate here right now.
All right, let's do some more questions before I just start yelling at Adrian.
And
How dare you be the way you are? You have to be the way I am.
you like me.
Michael is asking, does the forward movement of New Glenn make the landing more difficult compared to New Shepard, which only moves vertically? EJ, any thoughts here? I feel like as our
Forward movement? What do you mean?
It's meant horizontal movement. When it goes it doesn't just straight up launch. It has some horizontal movement because they don't Shep just goes.
I mean, they can just null out their horizontal velocity during a boost back, right? Or sorry, exo-atmospheric braking burn, or whatever they called it. No, I don't. Go ahead, EJ.
We're getting an echo?
Oh,
I'm confused.
I am not. Chat is now
It's your
saying
echo.
0/5.
It's your echo, Sloth.
I think it's fine
Echo.
again.
NASA spaceflight says 250 by 250. Chris, I don't think you know how this works.
Ruth. Baby. Ruth.
We are back. We are back.
All right, Chunk. No, yeah, I don't think it would be a huge issue. I mean, they can always null out their horizontal velocity in space.
Kevin, what did you do?
Kevin broke it. Thank you, chat, for letting us know that you can hear us again.
I didn't break it.
Anyway, I don't think it'd be a problem. You can. I mean, those wings are going to help New Glenn have better cross-range capability for landing, which it's going to need because with methane, you're going to be flying a good ways downrange, especially with the hydrolox upper stage.
Right.
But I don't think that'll be an issue. You can negate out horizontal velocity by. Well, okay, so all right. This is a Starship. This is a super heavy model, so just bear with me. Kevin, full screen me. You following me, camera guy?
Yeah. This is a good aid. We have visual aids. I like visual aids.
All right, so say the wings are right here. You're coming in like this, right? As long as you burn on your posigrade vector, so if the engines are going and the business end is flying first, right? And if you're burning this way and you're negating out your horizontal velocity, what's left? Gravity pushing down on the booster. it'll basically fall like a brick if you burn on your posigrade. If you burn on your posigrade node, so basically flying backwards, doing a retro burn, right?
Right.
The force of gravity will basically push this thing downwards, and
And then you're
because of the mass distribution and center of gravity on the booster, it's naturally going to pendulum like this.
Right, and you're just going to fall
Falcon
straight
9 does
down.
that, guys. Yeah, it'll just fall down like a brick.
Adrian-
Falcon 9 does that. That's exactly what it does.
Adrian, what are you doing?
I'm following. I took. Teacher was starting to talk, and I followed with my prop.
Ah, okay. Did it help?
Yes.
Speaking of helping, see what I did there? See what I did there? We have a
No.
whole bunch of people helping us out and coming out with some support, so I want to make sure we thank them. RC Horseman, thanks for the gifting of 5 red team memberships. Kevin, I hope you're ready because Ninja Decimator, pew pew pew.
Yes, Mighty, I did. Posigrade or prograde. You pick one.
Where's
pick
the
one.
Where's the pew pew? All right, Ninja Decimator gifting 5 red team memberships. Kevin might still be fixing the audio. Thank you both of you, RC and
do?
Ninja. Minor Downfall, thanks for the support. They say, can New Glenn compete against Ariane 6 and survive the rise of Ariane 7?
Yes.
Can Starship compete against Ariane 8? Are we just making things up at this point? Can Starship compete against Ariane 20, EJ?
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yes.
I feel like it should be really against some rules to bring up Ariane 6 when a European is on a cast because it will always hurt. But that's just me.
No, but Adrian, don't you know that Maya Space, which is totally not Ariane Space, is going to use the Soyuz pad at French Guiana for a reusable booster at some point?
You have a functional
You know
space
that?
program. I'm very happy about it.
Hey, there's the pew pew pews for Ninja Decimator. Only 5 minutes late. Thank
What's
you,
the
Kevin. Marin, thank you for the support there. They say, went home early from a party to check in with you guys. Keep up the amazing work. Greetings from Amsterdam. Greetings.
Greetings.
From Holland.
Good Bond.
Bloodhound09, thanks for the super chat. They say NASA should make SpaceX demo the Dragon landing. I mean,
Agreed.
SpaceX should just do it and then qualify that as an alternate way of landing Dragon, even if your parachutes don't fail. That'd be sweet.
Wait, Jack. Brainwave. What if that's Polaris 2?
That would be intense.
Propulsive landing, huh? Ooh.
That would be pretty sweet. I would hope that they would test it first without crew on board, like you do.
As one does, yeah.
But that would
As
be
is
sick.
tradition.
That would be sick. Good brainwave. Telstar, thanks for gifting a red team membership. Rankley, thanks for gifting a red team membership. I always say it because it's the truth. NSF is built on the bedrock that is the membership program. So thank you, everybody, for doing the gifts. It's nice to do. And it helps us out. Andrew Strong, thank you for the super chat. They say, I mean, if the 4 mains fail, I'll gladly accept unproven propulsive landing as opposed to hitting the ocean at terminal velocity. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to have in an emergency, but what would also be nice to have in an emergency? Confidence that your emergency measures are qualified and work, rather than just sort of rolling the dice. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy they're adding this. I'm not complaining.
I mean, you would never I'm totally also with the let's test it uncrewed before, because you would never do something like debut something on a crewed flight. For example, a whole new upper stage. I mean, we would do that and then fly a moon mission or something with a crew, because you just decide that that's the point where you want to change a totally new upper stage. I still can't get over the fact that the exploration upper stage will be debuted on a crew flight. That will be forever in my brain.
Yeah. Don't love that, if I'm being honest. You know what I do love, though? I beat you to the segue. You know what I do love, though, Adrian? It's our Flight 5 Starship patch, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is live on the store right now. Kevin is just sound effect hungry.
It's semi-live because you can see there it's just a picture of how the patch will look, because we don't have it yet in our hands to give you like the current picture. That's why it's still in the soft release. But we feel like, I mean, let's be real, the people who watch the Flame Trench are as hardcore audience as you get. So just we want to make sure you can get first of the line here and get the patch as well. It's awesome. I love it. It celebrates the landing attempt that we hopefully get on Flight 5, and I think it's an awesome design. I mean, look at it.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it sort of keeps on with the tradition and sort of design ideas that Pauline has had for the previous flights. It's got the number in Roman numerals. It's got the moon and Mars. It's centered around sort of the main objective of this flight, which is of course landing the booster. It's a beautiful patch, and it's in the store now, so check it out.
Yep, and I love the fact that it lined up to be that 5 is the one where it catches, because the chopsticks going for the catch is also the Roman 5.
Hey, nice.
I think that
Although-
lined up perfectly.
It's not technically in the store.
It's like you can access it from the link. It's not fully in the store yet because we are waiting for a full picture to update everything, but you can order it.
You can order it. Crispy has to leak the link in chat, and that's the only way you can get to this right now.
Yeah, can we spam the link in chat there? I think Nightbot might be on it. But yeah, check it out. Click the link in chat. It'll probably, by the time you watch this on demand, if you're watching it, a couple days later, then it'll should be on the store proper. But if you're watching this right now live, link in chat.
Yep.
Can I interrupt for a second? Nick McFlurry. Yep.
What?
There you go. There's your answer. Don't worry about it, dudes. It's all
I
good.
saw the question. I didn't even understand the question.
Well,
McFlurry,
from the answer, I can extrapolate that you're being asked about fast food shakes.
Yes.
Is the McFlurry your favorite?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Sure.
What's going on?
It was not a question about fast food.
Oh. Well, now I want to.
No, it's good. Don't worry about it.
Now I want a McFlurry.
Me too.
Yeah, thanks.
Me too.
But Blizzards are superior. Let's be real.
What's a blizzard?
You didn't
DJ.
take him to Dairy Queen when he was here, Jack?
I tried to. He went with other people to other places. Like, he didn't even go to Cane's with me for the first time, the monster. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
Canes was good, I have to say. Canes was good. By the way,
He
we
went
are
there
talking,
without you.
We are talking about Crew 9,
Yeah,
which
no,
will
we
launch tomorrow.
we do need to talk about Shrew 9. So, Adrian, please tell us about Shrew 9's launch tomorrow.
It's gonna be so strange because we only have, of course, 2 astronauts on Crew 9 instead of 4, because
Shrew
it's
9.
also... Okay, we just bring up the patch at this point. We have to address this. You have said it one too many times. I'm not sure if you're set up for that, Kevin, but it should be at the bottom. There's the Crew 9 patch.
Shrew 9.
It's at this point we have to, because they say it spells Crew 9. What's the?
Look at the patch. Look at the patch. You're telling me you're looking at this patch and you don't read it Shrew 9, like CHREW 9? The ISS looks like an H. It says Shrew 9. The patch should just be a large shrew.
But it's not aligned. So of course you don't read it in line because
But nothing in this patch is aligned.
Yeah, okay. You know what? That was the worst thing for me, was the moment I saw that the waves on the right side, like the center of that, is not aligned with the pedal of the launch pad on the left side. I don't know, that made me furious.
Hey, you guys notice that there's 2 stars on the left side with Haig and Gorbanov's names, and then there's 4 stars on the right side with Wilmore and Williams' names?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing that I saw. That's funny.
What does the rabbit mean?
Good luck.
Follow the
I
white
assume?
rabbit. No, follow the white
Oh.
rabbit.
Which, yes, yes, like reference acknowledged, but also,
It's not a reference to the Matrix, Jack.
what is it, Alice in
Oh.
Wonderland through Looking Glass? I thought it was Matrix. Follow the White Rabbit is Matrix, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're referencing Alice in Wonderland, or Through
Yeah.
the Looking Glass.
Yeah, the Matrix is referencing Alice in Wonderland with Down the Rabbit Hole, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. This is two things I've actually seen.
Hey,
Nice.
good job. All right, I've thoroughly derailed us.
Oh
Shrew-
no, this is Chris is not right with this, right?
No way.
But Butch and Sunny, but no, that's That's not what they mean.
Can't be. Anyways, Shrew 9. That's what it says on the patch, so that's what I'm calling it. Keep giving us the rundown, Adrian.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that mission is planned to launch tomorrow. So if you want to watch that mission, we will be live for it. Of course, going up with 2, coming down with 4. My God, sorry, my German slipped through there. And
9.
overall, we have the second launch of that booster, which is B1085, which will launch that mission.
Just so
So
you
yeah,
know, you also labeled the patch in German. It says crew, but then it says 9 in German.
I saw that, but to be fair, I did. Yeah, whatever. It's actually not even German. I for some reason wrote 9. Whatever. Anyway, this mission is planned for tomorrow. We will go live in minutes 4 hours, and of course, it's also launching from Slick 40.
First Slick
Which-
40 launch. Woo!
Oh, that's
Yep,
cool,
first
man.
Slick 40 crew launch.
Super excited for that.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or did it just sneak up on everybody? Like the timing between we are gonna launch crew at some point from Slick 40 to now them actually doing it just happened at some point. Now it's crazy for me.
Yeah, I
It's
feel like
pretty
Crew
awesome.
8 just launched, so go figure.
Yep.
We have a poll
100%.
in chat. The poll in chat is: will Shrew 9 launch on Saturday? Yes or no bad weather?
I'm voting no, because we are in fact not launching a small rodent tomorrow.
Right,
We're not launching a shrew.
We're launching 2 very important people
Yeah.
whose time and lives we respect, despite me being a doofus and saying Shrew 9 repeatedly.
Yeah, but we should address the weather situation, right? Because there's a bit of a hurricane going on right now. And by the way, if you're in that area, please stay safe. That's the most important thing. But of course, a hurricane also affects weather related to rockets. So they have like a 55% go, if I recall correctly. So there's a good chance. I mean, we had Polaris, where everybody was like, "Oh, there's no way they're gonna launch today," and well, they launched. So they have shown that they can like find these small gaps and fit the needle. But of course, tomorrow they don't have any window, so we'll see how that plays. Because if it happens to be there's a problem around that window, there's a wayward I don't know, lightning cloud somewhere, and just spoils the day. That's gonna happen, and that's nothing they can stop. So we'll see. But it's certainly an iffy weather situation.
Right. Yeah, don't love hurricane season. And shout out to my mom and dad who live I don't know, a couple hundred feet from the ocean or from the Gulf near Tampa Bay. It's been a little bit of a nail biter the last couple days watching all of this go down. But luckily they're on a hill and there's been a bunch of damage in their neighborhood, but they've successfully... What?
There's hills in Florida?
I mean, if you want to call like a 20-foot lump on the ground a hill, I mean, that's a Florida hill.
I mean, good enough for me. Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, it's good enough for my parents to not get hit by the storm surge, so I'm going to call it a hill.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, to Adrian's point, everybody please stay safe out there. So Shrew 9 maybe not launching tomorrow due to the weather, but
See.
hopefully it gets up in the air sooner rather than later. And I was going to joke and say, and rescues Butch and Sunny, but I mean, it's not even a joke at this point.
I have a question. I don't know if we've ever addressed this. What happens to the other 2 people, astronauts that were supposed to be in Crew 9?
Shrew 9.
Do they get reassigned, or is there a chance of what happens to them?
Hey, they're bumped to the next flight, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yep.
I think that's what they said when Nick and Alexander arrived at the Cape. I'm pretty sure they talked about that.
Yep, I believe that is the case.
I wonder how early they got into this planning. Like at what point did they learn? Oh, you might be getting bumped in favor of like flying this like in a 2-seat configuration to get 2 more people down. Like,
Right.
is that was that already always like an option somewhere in their head? I wonder.
Yeah, and Ryan in our back channel saying they're not going to be on Crew 10, so they'll be on a future flight, but not Crew 10. Crew 10 already has a crew assigned.
Mm-hmm. He
Ryan,
said Crew 10 again, just to drive the point
Yeah,
home.
Ryan, could you reiterate this like 7 more times in the back channel so we're like 100% clear on what you're saying? I'm not sure I understand.
And also, Crew 10 has the situation that there's only 2 U.S. astronauts on that mission, because there's also 1 JAXA astronaut and, of course, 1 Roscosmos astronaut on that mission. So there's only like it's one of these missions where there's like seat bargaining and stuff going on again. So they don't have that many options to just switch them around.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a busy schedule. Alan L is asking, do Butch and Sonny have SpaceX suits to use? If memory serves, 1 is already on station and 1 will be brought up on Shrew 9. Is that correct, Adrian? You're nodding your head emphatically.
Yeah, there was 1 already up, and they're bringing 1 more. And I still cannot get over the fact, if we bring up spacesuits, that there's not like a common adapter and like a common, like everything feels so common between these crew launch vehicles with everything, and like making sure that they're like aligned on all of these adapters and everything, and then spacesuits aren't competent, like matching. I feel like that was a weird thing. Also, what you cannot see right now is Jack hunting a fly, I think, almost.
Stop it. No, stop it. I will turn off my camera. You can't. Oh, it's back. It's back.
Like honestly, while I was talking, he was just doing this constantly.
You don't understand. You
That's
have to
not true.
treat the doors here in Starbase like an airlock. If you leave it open for a fraction of a second longer than necessary, a whole bunch of mosquitoes and a whole bunch of flies are going to fly in. It happens every time. And you know who's really good at not treating the door like an airlock?
Dan?
My dad, Dan.
Oh, all right, cool. I was right.
So,
All right.
oh my God, this is going to turn into the Fly episode of Breaking Bad real fast.
Oh, dude. That's one of the best episodes of that show.
No. I'm sorry. I like that episode, but here's my hot take. We finally get to a point in the show. Breaking Bad spoilers. If you've not seen Breaking Bad, I'm about to talk about Breaking Bad spoilers. You should do yourself a service and not listen to what I'm about to say if you haven't seen it, because it is an amazing show. 3, 2, 1. Okay. No, come on. No, we're arguing. You can't. Stupid Fly.
Sorry.
The Fly episode makes me angry because we finally get to a point in the series where Walter's in the super lab and everything's humming along, and there's like some little things messing up here and there, and it's like, no, I want to see some super lab action. I want to see them cook like crazy. And no, we get a Fly episode. Like, thanks a lot.
Hoppy.
Conky. Adrian's never seen it. I just spoiled Breaking Bad for Adrian, but he's never going to watch it, so we're fine.
It's even worse, but we shouldn't talk about this.
No.
Adrian is the one
about
who
what?
knocks.
Talk about what?
I've watched the first season. I found it rather boring, and I dropped it.
Every Vince Gilligan show is slow in the first and second season, man. You gotta stick with it.
You gotta get invested. You gotta get in there.
It's like The Sopranos. The first season of Sopranos was okay, but then you get to like the fifth or sixth season. It's like, oh, we gotta go find Christopher. Where's Christopher? We gotta find him.
Gabagool. Yeah.
Gabagool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I agree. There's a poll. Has Adrian seen Breaking Bad?
Can somebody spam in chat that the people can unmute again? Because I'm seeing people asking when they can unmute again at the Breaking Bad spoilers are over.
Yes. No more Breaking Bad spoilers. You're good. We're done. We're done with that. Sorry. Thank you for actually listening to me, because it really is a really good show. This is also a really good show. We're doing great, you guys. Totally on the rails.
Oh yeah, it's fine. Everything's good here.
14 more minutes for Starship.
Oh,
You know
God.
what else is going to be a really great show?
The museum show,
Seven.
right?
The museum show, which, I mean, it's kind of already going on in person, but
Is that a plushy shuttle? Oh, my God.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's going to be a treat. I'm looking forward to that. So stay tuned. That's in about 15 minutes or so, and we will throw all of you over onto the museum show and hang out and watch it along with you.
Chris, you need that. I need that.
Yeah, Chris in chat
No.
saying, I need that. Oh, the stupid fly. Oh, my
It's
God.
closer to me.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's closer to me, but I also like the fly saga that's going on here is quite entertaining.
Yes, I really love the Fly Saga.
I don't know if you can see my eyes. I have not gotten a lot of sleep in the last couple days, and the last thing I need is this fly trying to buzz around my
wait
face.
Wait a minute, Jack. Why have you not gotten a lot of sleep in the past couple of days? Is it because you were up at night taking pictures of things?
Hey,
what were you taking pictures of?
Right. So we had excellent segue, EJ. Thank you.
Yeah,
we
I got
had
you. I got you.
an early morning. What is this? Why?
Oh, no.
I'm gonna fight back. I'm fighting back. I hate everything. Kevin, why? I'm trying so hard. We have like 14 minutes. Okay, all right.
We have 12
Kevin.
minutes for Starship.
Kevin, stop it. The sound.
12.
Kevin is like the worst ADD medication. It only makes my ADD worse. Yes, we had an early morning. We thought the ship with the booster 11 parts was going to come in. Then it didn't until later in the day. Then it came in. Then I chased it around the port trying to find an angle where you could see the stuff on the deck. I found one, shot some photos, then stayed up until like 4 a.m. waiting for them to roll the stuff that they removed from the barge or the ship into Massey's, because there was a closure from the port to Massey's. They didn't move it until like 4:30 after it had already left. So hooray. And then that same day, which was yesterday, we had a flyover at 8 a.m. So I had to get up at 7 a.m. So that's why I have not slept much. But you can see the flyover. I'm literally in the flame trench. Like it's a flame trench right there. It's a flame right here, flame trench. No, I can't point to it right. But yeah, we flew over. We did a flyover. We're gonna have all of that awesome footage coming out for Starbase Update on Monday. So make sure you watch Starbase Update on Monday to learn everything that we learned from our flyover, including that some of those Raptors that were moved right after I left are now parked at Massey's, and presumably the large chunk that they also moved last night or this morning or whatever is also there in the same spot now. So that'll be interesting to see if SpaceX does like an aircraft style like mishap investigation where they sort of try and reassemble all the parts and pieces into a whole. Have you seen those little, like, where there'll be like an airliner crash and then they'll put all the pieces in a warehouse and like try and reconstruct the airliner to see where the failure started, all that kind of thing?
Didn't they do that with Falcon 1? Isn't there a famous picture of Elon doing exactly that?
Oh,
with
there
Falcon
could.
1
at
at Kwajalein?
It doesn't ring a bell, but I believe you.
I think there's like a picture where he's like on a factory floor with like the Falcon 1 parts around him, right? I think like
that's so cute. Kevin is looking at the document to see if that's in there, but it's totally not in there.
Okay, so fellas, like the cool thing about this is that those, the picture that Elon posted the other day of them pulling the booster, what's left of the booster, out of the water, right? They seem to only have outer engines, but like the engines that are on the outer ring. So for the uninitiated, Super Heavy has 33 engines. There's a trio of 3 in the center, and then a ring of 10, and then a ring of 20, right? We saw the ring of 20 from
Elon's
from the
pic.
picture. Yeah, exactly. And then we didn't see anything else. We seem to have some center engines there. Those are center engines because of the heat shield.
Right. And we could. My first reaction when he tweeted that was, "What? EJ, you have one already?"
Yeah.
Oh my.
What? I'm so jealous. I've never been more jealous of anything in my entire life.
All right.
Can you make it fly
Crispy.
around?
I love how he just.
Are
pulled
you
that
jealous?
out. Like it was like he was kind of waiting for the moment to bring this up.
Wait, fly it around. Fly it around. Make zoom noises.
Thanks.
It wouldn't be making zoom noises, Jack. It's a glider.
All right,
Hello?
make boom noises then. Make sonic boom noises. Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate
Chris,
it.
Chris is losing it in chat.
Wow, yeah, he's typing in all caps.
Yeah.
That's how you know he's excited. All right.
But anyway,
Yeah.
so those are center motors. It's very interesting because you look at this picture. This is the picture that I was talking about here. They're very much, those are the outer boosters. Now, that brings up the question, like, why the heck did they go and get these things? Like, why go and get it? Well, those center engines, I mean, the ring engines, I don't know. I'm sure you can get some good data from them, but those center engines are the one that did the landing burn before whatever happened to Booster 11 from the last time we saw it in one piece to now.
Right.
They did the landing burn. So that's going to be great data on Raptor recovery in the future and saltwater inundation. But yeah, still cool.
Yeah, super neat. So the fact that in those images we were looking at a second ago, they're center engines, it means they recovered more than what's seen in that one picture.
Exactly. Yep. That's what I was trying to say, but also shuttle.
Also shuttle. Speaking of that late night, there's some of that section, I think from the Elon picture, getting lifted off the deck of the ship right there. You can even see, I think there's like 6 Raptors all hanging out in a cluster. So pretty neat. But yeah,
we also had a partial tanking test of the next flight stack.
We did have a partial tanking test, not a full wet dress rehearsal. Do we think they're going to do a full WDR? Adrian, what do you think? And then we'll ask EJ after he's done doing Dr. Evil.
Yeah, there's some weird wording that SpaceX did on one of their latest X posts, where it almost sounds like they might be done, but I don't buy it. I think there's a very good chance we will see a full wet dress rehearsal at some point. SpaceX is very active right now, of course, in demonstrating how ready they are on social media. So I think that's why they did that X post. But I think there's a very good chance we will see a full thrusting stack at some point, with them just buying down risk a bit here, as I also said on that stream, and making sure that they are verifying the integrity of this vehicle first before putting a lot of methane into it, because a lot of methane has the potential to do a lot of boom.
Right. EJ, what do you think? Full wet dress or just cool shuttle?
Why you gotta make me choose?
You have to choose.
Full wet dress.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I feel bad.
No, it's good. It's good. I might not seem like it at times, but I'm a disgusting Starship fanboy. The reason why is because I want Starship to vindicate my shuttle, because everybody, after the shuttle stopped flying, everybody's like, no, reusability doesn't make any sense. No, it does. Starship will prove it. Starship will vindicate my shuttle.
Yeah,
Can
I hope
answer
so.
this question?
It really is Shuttle 2.0.
What? It's awesome.
What question?
I think the SpaceX PR machine is really active right now, so I think they will do anything to show that they're ready. Are you all just playing with your plushies?
No, this is a boom mic. It's all I had. Wait, what? Kevin, you were actually asking a real question. What's the what?
No,
huh?
I was making a statement. I was making a statement that I think the SpaceX PR machine is really active right now, and they're going to do anything to show that they're ready. And I think they're going to do a full WDR, even if they don't need to right now, just to say, "Hey, we're ready."
Yeah, very possible.
I agree. I really think they I mean, not to poke any topic here that we are so far avoiding, but they have a bit of time, so they might just use that time to perform some additional testing if they can.
Yeah.
I think you're a liar for saying that. Wait, no.
Also, speaking of
Ding, ding, ding.
having plenty of time, so much time that they have, tomorrow, Saturday, they're also doing a beach cleanup. So there'll be a full stack out at the pad and a bunch of people locally all chipping in. I believe SpaceX is going to feed us, which is cool. So, yeah, if you're anywhere in the Brownsville area, make sure you come out to Boca Chica Beach for that cleanup. It's going to be a hoot.
Oh, and next Friday is Hawaiian T-shirt day. So,
What?
Yeah.
go ahead and wear a Hawaiian T-shirt.
Is that a requirement for the flame trench as well?
Yes.
Are we doing that?
Yes.
Actually,
Wait,
this is a serious question because the Flame Trench is on Friday. So is Friday Hawaiian T-shirt day now?
Yeah, it is. Also, Adrian, you didn't put the new cover sheet on your TPS reports. Didn't you get that memo?
Mhm.
Come on, man.
No.
And then they moved my desk down to suborbital pad B.
and I
Adrian
was
doesn't get
and I
that
was
reference, guys.
and I was told there'd be more testing, but then they demolished it and there was no more
Elon told me
testing.
to talk to Gwen, and then
Sorry,
Gwen
I'm
told me
annoyed by
to
my
talk to
own screen
Elon.
right now because this
I
poster
still have not received
I'm gonna
has the
my flame
problem
trench.
that
set the flame trench on fire.
it's so annoying.
Oh god, the fly's back. All right, we have very little time left
Why are you putting this guy on the screen?
in the show. There's FAA drama. Do we really? Kevin, what are you doing? There's 2 minutes left.
Well,
How do we?
I'm being told in the back channel that the museum show may start a little late, so we have little time to fill. So I figured you might want to talk about the FAA for like the 4th week in a row.
We could talk about literally anything else.
Okay, all right. Kevin, can I meet you in the middle? We can talk about Starship. I actually have a theory. I have a wild theory. If you guys want, this is a cool Starship theory. Okay, it's a cool Starship theory, and it is completely crazy. And a bunch of people are going to say that I'm wrong, and that's totally cool. This is to invite discussion. I'm not proclaiming anything. So, if you look at the flyover pictures, okay, you look at the flyover pictures that Jack took. They're fantastic. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Right?
There's one behind you right now.
You look at. Oh yeah. Oh yeah! All right, let's go. So if you look at the flyover pictures from Pad B, right, from the orbital Pad B, the second tower that SpaceX is building at Boca Chica,
right?
You look at the pilings, right? The pilings for the flame trench. It's very clear that they're going to make a flame trench, right? Like I think we can all agree on this, right?
Right.
And then it's very clear that we've seen some parts being delivered to the Sanchez site, right? That and they clearly are not like the first OLM, right? It's clearly different. Now, okay, here's my wild theory. All right, here's the wild theory is I used your overhead pictures, Jack, to kind of extrapolate the kind of width of the flame trench at Pad B.
Right.
The flame trench at Pad B is 60 feet wide. It seems to be about 60 feet wide. Now, if you measure that to the OLM, the OLM at the other pad, at the first pad, right, the donut, right, it's the flame trench is too wide for that, right? It's not 60 feet. Actually, if it is, it's close. Now, so that got me thinking, and this is to invite discussion. So come on, you guys can contribute when I get to the point. Like, I kind of looked around. I'm like, what other pads have 60-foot flame trenches? That's 18 meters for anybody that uses lunar units. Yes, lunar units. Yeah,
Lunits.
It took a second. I know.
They're called lunits.
Lunits. Yes. So that's awfully wide for a 9-meter booster. Right now, keep in mind the pilings there are just, I don't know. It could be just temporary. They could be doing something else. But here's the thing. I was thinking, like, what other pad has an 18-meter flame trench? 39A has an 18-meter flame trench. 39A is an 18-meter flame trench. Now, once again, here's the crazy part. I think that SpaceX is moving to a mobile launcher platform for the OLM so they can hot swap them like space shuttles, and also it'll make it so they can utilize the 39A flame trench eventually. Right? That's the wild theory. Because why make an 18-meter flame trench? Why would you do that? Yeah. That's so random. Like what's the guys
What's
behind that?
What's special about that particular number?
You don't need a double. Yeah, exactly. You don't need double the diameter for a 9-meter rocket, right?
Interesting.
Right? But if you look on the opposite side of the tower here, they're also building there's a piling that kind of is a long rectangle shape. They look like the long rectangle in Tetris, right? That's on the opposite side of the tower, right? So it's clear that something big is going to roll in there from one side, right? And set this plate down somehow, right? There's going to be something heavy on the other side because they have those two pilings in that long rectangular shape on the south side, quote unquote, of this picture. Also south side of the pad, I guess, because the way that is oriented looks like the south side of the pad.
Yeah.
Right?
Southwest.
But, right? So how are we going to see like a SpaceX mobile launcher platform in the future? Like, I mean, they're probably going to use SBMTs at Highway 4, but that kind of is in line with how they built 39A, with how NASA built 39A back in the day. You have extremely strong concrete foundations on the part where the crawler transporter rolls, and the flame trench is in between. So
Right.
it looks very similar. I don't know, just a wild theory. You guys play with that information with what you will. What do you guys think, Jack? What do you think?
Oh, I think it makes a lot of sense. We'll just have to see if the hardware starts showing up in support of that. I know
Right?
Zach, CSI Starbase, friend of the show, who also
Zach's good people.
who also likes to clown on me on Twitter for my photographs. I mean, rightfully so. They has also been sort of championing the idea of a mobile OLM, so it certainly would make a lot of sense.
Right?
Adrian, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the more I think about it, the more I like the idea. Like initially when it happened, like when this topic came up, I was like, oh. But I'm getting used to the idea.
I don't even think
be honest with you
it'll be
guys.
something like we see with the mobile launcher, where it takes the rocket out to the pad. I think that'll be SPMTs, but it'll get to the pad, be put on some sort of mobile platform to launch on, get stationed at the pad, and then they can have like 2 or 3 of them and just rotate them out, and they don't have to worry about.
I think it's
pad
kind of funny.
refurbishment.
I think it's kind of funny that that at the beginning SpaceX tried this. Is this the Ship 26 song? But just to ignore this, I think it's kind of funny that in the beginning SpaceX was like trying to do this rapid new approach to launch pads, and like it's this meme of this guy going down the stairs with many steps, and at the end it's just 39A. So I feel like they're more and more approaching to like.
Look, man,
more and more
they made those pads like that for a reason. It was
I mean,
entirely for purpose.
One of the fun parts about designing from first principles is sometimes you find out that things were designed right.
Yeah, like I feel like SpaceX is really finding out right now that there's a reason why 39A is good. They're sitting in a meeting room and be like, yeah, they were right.
This immediately makes me wonder, like, what will become of 39A's tower? Because it's not in the right position for 39A proper. It's sort of off to the side. Like, question mark? Are we getting?
I think they'll move it.
Are we getting?
Move it on to? Yeah, we are.
We're getting played out right now.
No. It's
play
a
us
Ship
out?
26 song, and it's a terrible song.
There's no words on it. All right. Let's do some.
Keep talking.
Let's do some support here. Matt PD, thank you for the support. Michael Oliver, thanks for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Complicated, thank you for becoming a Capcom member. Jump into the Discord and say hey. Or maybe it was Compacted. Either way, the name is started with a C and ended with an ED. Compacted gifting a Red Team membership. Blake Alexander gifting 20 Red Team memberships. Thank you, Blake. That's extremely generous of you. If your name just turned green, be sure to thank Blake or whoever gifted you your membership. Musical Wolves, thanks for the support. They say, how likely will Helene cause a delay in Crew 9 launching? I think we talked about that earlier. We're all sort of fairly certain that it could end up being an issue. Either Helene or any of the fall, because there's a lot of storms happening right now. Allison, thank you for the support. They grabbed a polo shirt from the store. They say, love you guys, but still no tea towel in the store. Adrian? What's a tea towel?
It's the thing where you use to dry up your wet dishes, right?
Oh. I would just call that a dish towel. Why? What's a tea? A tea towel implies that it's for tea, or with the thing I want it to be, it's just a towel that's tea-shaped.
Oh, we have a comment from Nightbot, by the way, for that. That says it's for the kitchen, not the bathroom. The later is a towel.
I mean, we can all agree that tea belongs in water.
Yes.
Some people just like putting it in salt water.
Yes, which is really the only appropriate water to put it in. Just throw it right in the bay.
Yeah, Adrian,
right
how
in
do you
there.
feel about this?
I don't want to pick sides. It's like when two people are fighting, and I really don't want to pick sides. But to be fair, I'm with 2 Americans right now, so I'm like, yeah, whatever. Let's throw the tea into it. So
America. All right.
Tell you what, boy.
Yeah.
That tea
Good
ain't
man.
right. Bob
I'll tell you
Smith,
what.
thank you for the super chat there. They said the ISS needs a pet, like a space cat. Totally worth the trouble and not one of those furless varieties. They have a vacuum. I am 100% in favor of space cat.
I think Chris B hates me now.
Yeah, I'm seeing very bad messages going on.
He's giving me the look through chat, though.
And Ninja Decimator, thank you for the super chat. They say KMR, spam, pews. Pew, pew, pew. Yes. Yes. More. 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 More.
More.
Good deal. Oh look, it's the wait. We didn't thank the Membies. We gotta thank the Membies before we do
What are you
gifts.
thanking them for?
Also, I love.
I love that Das is still watching.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be like that, Kev?
Oh no, he went away. No, we had sneaky Dawes. Yes, he's back. Yes. All right. Well,
Here, I'll do the same thing. Ready?
we got the museum show coming right up, so don't go anywhere. In fact, you don't even have to do anything. We're going to redirect you right to it. Once again, thank you to all of our members, and thank you especially to our launch directors and flight engineers, the two highest levels of our membership program. Y'all are the best, and we couldn't do a single thing that we do without your support. So as always, thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you so much. All right, I think with that, we're going to wrap it up. Adrian EJ, thanks for being on. Everybody follow EJ on Twitch. Everybody DM Adrian Spiders. Thank you, KMR, for... What? Thank you, KMR, for operating today's stream. Let's all go watch the museum show. DM Adrian Spiders. Do it. Do it.
No.
Do it.
Don't do it.
Do it.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up.
Water towers, fly!
Tango down to nominal.
Flighting down to SPE off. Bring in SPE off.
It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage! Put that in the big bag,
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You read? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
There for museum show. Okay, we're still with Membies. Membies, do you want to watch the museum show?
I want to watch the museum show.
This was. I have to watch this again so I understand what we just did. It was unhinged.
So we did that perfectly in time because the intro started right when our outro ended.
That was Chris's favorite show so far?
Really?
Oh my.
343 unfolds to go.
Oh
Watch
god.
party?
Really?
Okay.
That was the peak for Chris so far? Of all things?
I'll put it this way. I don't think it was
Yeah,
a
I see
bad
it,
show.
sure.
I think it was a good show. But like, there's some weeks where I'm like, yeah, we did so good on that one. It was perfect.
That was a decent one. The
Just
news cycle
speaking-
this week has been
Speaking for
super
myself,
slow.
I felt sort of off my game. So maybe that's
I think what was true for this one, we all just had fun.
yeah, true.
That worked. I really just had fun talking stuff with you, too. That was
Yeah.
fun.
This is a fantastic crowd. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh. And hello to everyone tuning in at home as well. My name is
Oh, she's saying hi to us.
producer of
Hello.
here at the
Hi.
Museum. Welcome to our Free Friday Astronomy Night /
Do we get to do commentary like
No,
MST3K
that's
style? over
100%
this?
what we're doing right now.
Are we like who's who in at MST 3000?
Enterprise. Now we have so much fun stuff going on.
Ladies and gentlemen, a
speaking...
flock of seagulls. What?
I'm the gumball machine. EJ's
What?
the
I
real
want to be.
human.
I don't want to be the ape.
All right, I'll be the gold robot guy.
I actually have seen that movie. I have not seen the full show, I think, but I have seen the one movie, big one thing that they did.
Some very special things, some very special people here. Of course, some former NASA astronauts. We like to do this as part of something that we call our Astro Live program. So we actually do this every single month. Oftentimes they're online,
Jack, pass
so you
the
can tune
popcorn,
in
please.
virtually for them. But whenever we're here on site for events like this, we also live stream them as well. So you can tune in
Gesundheit.
every single month. But today we're excited to have not one, not two, but 3 former NASA astronauts with us.
1 astronaut, 2 astronauts, 3 astronauts.
So, a bit about each of them. We have with us an astronaut.
Sawyer
a
would be
planetary
like, "Oh,
scientist
free
and
astronaut.
author,
That's just an
Tom
evening."
Jones. He completed
Yeah, I've met
4
all of them.
space shuttle missions
Yeah,
and
it's like,
3
okay.
spacewalks that helped to build the International
Thanks, man.
Space Station. He's also the author of the amazing book Space Shuttle Stories: First-Hand Astronaut Accounts from All 135 Missions, which I hope some of you maybe picked up already from our gift shop. We are going to have that on sale the rest of the night and also have a special signing with all 3 of them right after the program over there as well. So stick around for that. We also have Sidney Gutierrez, who was a retired Air Force fighter and test pilot before becoming the very first American-born Hispanic astronaut and served as pilot of STS-40 and commander of STS-59.
People are
And
walking
then, of
in
course,
front
we
of the
have
camera.
Intrepid's
How
own
rude.
Senior advisor for space
Yeah, what
programs,
the
Mike Massimino,
Hell.
who himself served on 2 missions to service the Hubble Space
You
Telescope,
almost said a bad
including
word.
4 spacewalks,
That happened to me when they were
and
lifting
he sent the very first
Endeavour,
tweet
remember?
from space.
People,
So
employees, or
everyone,
like reporters
as
kept
a
walking
you
in
can
front
give a
of
round
the.
of applause
Oh, I
for those
remember
guys.
that,
That's a
yeah.
lot
And then
of
Garrett
amazing
was like,
stuff, right?
"Yo, stop!" It was amazing. I love Garrett.
Ryan in back channel saying,
So again,
surprisingly,
as
these
a
3
reminder,
astronauts
we
gave
will be
up dinner
doing a
with
meet and
Sawyer
greet
to
with
go
them,
all the
some
way to
signing of their books and whatever else you might want to sign back there right after the presentation. So stick around. But without further ado, please welcome to the stage our wonderful astronaut crew here, Mike, Tom, and Sid.
Twitch
Welcome,
chat.
Mike,
You
Tom,
guys want to
and
watch this?
Sid?
Did.
That's what I said. Sid.
How do they have 3 astronauts in one place?
I don't know. Sawyer
Why
probably
don't
arranged it.
Why don't they have 3 astronauts in one place?
You were not an astronaut. Adrian.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. I guess.
Did you apply? Did you
How
apply
dare
to the ESA program?
Hello, everyone. Thank
Actually,
you
I
very
did.
much for coming.
Oh, and they didn't like
I'm
you.
Mike, this is Sid.
Yeah, there was this free choice
was
thing
over
where
there.
everybody could apply. They declined me in the first
We
round.
know Tom and I got a chance to overlap. We worked together for a bit at NASA.
No,
Sid
the
and I
Earth is
know
flat,
each other as
Crab-
well, but
Crab
we
River.
didn't overlap.
Don't
Sid
say
was,
that.
Was out of the office when I arrived, but it's always great to see my fellow astronaut friends talking about stories from our fun careers and time with NASA. We've been doing
Kevin,
that for the last
the,
10 years, and we're just going to continue doing that.
The
now.
ASL person
We'll
is
do
in
that
the
for a
main
little
shot
while.
and
We'll open
pip.
it up to
Is that on
questions.
purpose?
Whatever you like to ask, we'd be very happy to answer. So I'm going to start by asking Sid and Tom to talk a little bit about
Yeah, Das says it's fine.
their journey to becoming an astronaut. How they got interested, and how they got
I want
to
one
NASA.
of these blue
So,
jackets.
Sid, you want to go first?
I'll go ahead and
Those
go
are.
first.
I want the Mach 25 patch.
When I was very young, in about the 5th
You
grade.
need to do a couple of things to get those 2 things, fellas.
I was always
So they
interested
have a
in
new
mechanical
stage
things.
there, and I don't like the
for some
lighting
reason
on the
I
new
was
stage.
into
The lighting
tractors
is
and
really
things like
bad.
that, and then I became
Horrible.
interested in airplanes. And by the time
They got
I was
like
in the 5th
one
grade, I decided
fill
I wanted
light.
to be an Air Force pilot
And that's
an
it.
astronaut. First
See the
astronaut
shadows, Jack? There's
I
one light.
ran
It's
around
1
that
point. It's a
time.
1 point lighting
My heroes were the
with
test
with
pilots out
ambient.
at Edwards.
That's great.
And the bright screen in the background really doesn't make it any better. Like,
Yeah.
bright screen.
Catalog for the Air Force Academy. There was
Yeah,
nothing
tough
online
filming
in those
situation
days.
for sure.
And so I figured out all the courses I needed to take, what I needed to do to be competitive to get there. And I was successful in that, studied a lot of math and science, participated in science fairs, did extracurricular activities, tried to stay in as good a shape as I could.
Is
and I
Mike
got to
the
the
most
academy.
well-known astronaut alive
I
right
joined
now?
the Air Force
I
Academy
feel like
parachute team.
my
there,
feeling
which
is that
was
would be
very
Hatfield.
fortunate and gave me a lot of experience. Got
Yeah.
a degree in aeronautical engineering. And then I went on to be an Air Force pilot. I was selected to be a
Unfortunately,
instructor pilot
Martin,
in
we have no
38.
control over
And then I
the
was
lighting
fortunate
there.
enough to be one of the
Even
We
though
are
we're
in fact
officially there for the
pilots to be
museum,
selected to
they
fly the
have
F-15. and
an
flew the
outside
F-15
company
for a few
that comes
years,
in
and then
that's
my
like
dream really started
union
coming true
that
when I
handles
got
the
selected
lighting.
to be an Air Force test pilot. Flew it as a test pilot, went through the test pilot school, flew at Edwards for a couple of years, and then it really blossomed when NASA asked for applications, and I was selected to be a NASA astronaut. And I got to fly once as pilot. Pilot is NASA code word for the co-pilot. And then I got to fly once as commander, which is NASA code word for the actual pilot. That's the person who lands the airplane. So when we landed on my first mission and Brian O'Connor landed it, everybody congratulated me on the great landing. And then when we landed on the second mission, Kevin Chilton got credit for it. I think I did better because I think I lucked out. And anyway, after a few years at NASA, 10 years with NASA, I moved on, worked at Sandia National Labs for a few years. Eventually, I was very interested in the safety of the space program. I was convinced that in order to really develop the commercial aspects of space, that space flight needed to be safer, more reliable, and more affordable. And so I found a company that had some ideas in that direction to build a hybrid rocket motor, and got started in that direction. So now I'm essentially an entrepreneur and working on starting a rocket company. We have over 50 employees today, and we're making some real progress. But it's taken a long time. And I tell my kids, if you ever see an entrepreneur who's been successful, don't begrudge them anything, because for everyone that succeeds, there are probably 10 that have failed, and everyone that succeeds, I mean, it's a story of rising from the ashes multiple times. So that's my story. Tom?
That's what streaming is like, dude.
I hope some of you will get the chance to fly the rockets that Sid is building. So I was growing up in the space race in the 1960s when we were getting ready to send the first people to the moon, and I was very excited about that story of racing the Russians to the moon. And so the astronauts, the early astronauts, and Mercury and Gemini were my heroes. And when I was 10 years old, I went to the rocket factory in Baltimore where I was growing up, and they were making these Titan II rockets that were going to carry the Gemini astronauts into space to help us get ready to go to the moon. And so I was a Cub Scout, 10 years old, looked up at these 100-foot tall rockets, and I thought, that's got to be the coolest job anybody has out there. So I wanted to learn more about that job as I got older. I watched Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walk on the moon, and I thought, I want to be like those guys, be explorers. And they were professional test pilots like Sid later became. And I thought, to be a professional military test pilot, you have to be a military pilot to start. So I wanted to be an Air Force pilot. I went to the Air Force Academy like Sid, got a science degree, learned how to fly there, and then went on training. I was an Air Force bomber pilot for about 5 years during the Cold War. But that's when NASA brought out that brand new space shuttle right after the moon landings. And so that was the ship that I might have a chance to fly on, and that was my goal, to become first a test pilot, then a crew member on the space shuttle. Well, I didn't get to be a test pilot. I found out that the requirements were very stiff. Only guys like Sid could make those requirements. But I also learned that on the shuttle there were 2 test pilots at the front seats, and they took off and landed the ship, but there were scientists and engineers on board, and science was my favorite subject in school. So I thought, maybe if I get better science training, I can still qualify to become a space shuttle crew member. So I went back to school for 5 more years and got a planetary sciences doctoral degree. So I was exploring the solar system when I applied to NASA. I got turned down once. I got turned down by NASA again. And finally, on the 3rd time, I got hired in 1990 to become a shuttle astronaut. And that's what I got to do. I got to fly with Sid on my first flight, 3 science missions, and then 1 construction flight to the space station. And now I'm still doing some work on asteroid defense, how to keep the Earth from being smacked by big asteroids in the future. And I write books about flying in space.
So my experience is a little bit different than Tom and Sid's. I was a civilian. I had never in the military, so went more the academic route, although both of them have a lot of academic degrees as well. But I was a civilian. I got inspired watching Neil Armstrong walk on the moon when I was 6 years old. And I applied to NASA. I went through to engineering school at Columbia, not too far away. I went to MIT for grad school. And I had applied multiple times as well, but one more than Tom. It took me 4 tries to finally get picked. And now I'm back at the school that I was educated at as an undergraduate. I teach at Columbia and do some work here at the Intrepid Museum and live in New York City. So that's what we've got going on. So we're sitting here under a space shuttle, and Tom's book is about the space shuttle stories. Yeah, so it's the history of the space shuttle program, which so I want to ask you guys this. It was an amazing program. It had ups and downs. It ran for 30 years. I joined right in the middle when I was selected by NASA. Sid, you were in the class of 84. Tom, you were in class of 90. I was 96. And the shuttle first flew in 81 and then ended in 30 years. I came, as it turned out, right in the middle of all that. And it was I thought it was an amazing spaceship. But I don't know if I'm biased thinking that there should be more about the space shuttle out there. And your book, it was great because it told the personal stories of the shuttle program, of each flight, right? So, Tom, I'll start with you on this. What encouraged you to write that book? Did you feel there was a story there? There was something that was untold? And how do you, for both of you, how do you generally feel about the shuttle program, the ups and downs of what it did over those 30 years?
Well, the shuttle is America's iconic spaceship. If you look through the displays over here, you'll see a lunchbox with a shuttle and books and puzzles and Lego sets. So for 30 years, this was America's spaceship. And now we've got 21st century spaceships that have taken its place. But for so long, it's been tied up with our vision of what Americans in space go to space on. So, of course, all of our careers were tied up with the work that we got to do on the space shuttle. So it retired in 2011, and it's been 13 years since then. And there are some history and technology textbooks about the shuttle and how it was put together and designed and how it operated. But what I thought was missing was the human story of the space shuttle 30 years history. And so I wanted to take the chance to talk to my colleagues and get a story from one person who was on every one of the 135 space shuttle flights, and put that together in a nice book with 600 photos that would illustrate that work too. So I came to work in the middle decade of the 3 decades that the space shuttle flew, and I got to talk to people from the 1980s, the 90s, and the 2000s before and after I flew on the shuttle. And it was a wonderful privilege. We were so busy in Houston working as astronauts that you never had the chance to sit down and have a beer with your friend and get the inside story on all these missions. And so by interviewing everybody from 2020 till about 2022, I got all those chances to hear the inside stories and then put them down on paper. So it was very rewarding for me personally, and it also gives us a chance to freeze those memories, because as we get older, some of the astronauts who flew on the shuttle will no longer be around to tell those stories, and I wanted to capture them before it was too late. And what I learned was, to answer the last part of your question, was the shuttle was a great scientific and engineering success. It built the International Space Station in large part. It launched the great observatories like the Hubble that Mike got to work on up there. And it did fantastic scientific work, launching probes to the planets and communication satellites and defense satellites that help keep our country safe. And yet, it had some problems. The shuttle was not a perfect machine. Humans can't make such a machine. And so in the book, I have to deal with the fact that we did lose 2 space shuttles and 14 astronauts over those 30 years. Challenger and Columbia were the 2 ships that were lost. And so we know why those ships failed. They had design flaws. Humans created those flaws. As we go back to the moon, as we get ready to explore Mars in the future, we have to remember the flaws that we built into this machine and make sure we remember those lessons to avoid repeating our mistakes in the future. And that's the great lesson that can come out of studying the space shuttle story.
Thanks, Tom. So, what really so I was interested in flying in the space program. What really attracted me to the space shuttle was the fact that it has wings, right? I mean, out of all the spacecraft, all the spacecraft with humans on it, it's the only one that really flies with wings. In fact, sometimes people ask me, well, which astronaut were you in terms of flying in space? Were you the 110th or the 200th or whatever? And I have no idea. But honestly, I have no idea. But I know I was the 34th person to ever land a winged spacecraft. And that was the really cool thing about the space shuttle is it came back to Earth, and you actually got to land on a runway. So for pilots, that's very exciting. But as Tom mentioned, we were pressing the technology in a lot of ways. The main engines on the shuttle, we were pressing the technology. As we found on the SRBs, the solid rocket boosters, we were pressing the technology. In terms of the thermal protection system, we were really pushing it because it had, thousands and thousands and thousands of times. Each one of them could be a single point failure mode. So we were able to fly it for 30 years and lose 2 of them, very unfortunately. But the thing I look to is to learn from what we can do better. I hope that we have a craft again in the future. I hope that it's powered by, as Tom mentioned, I really believe in these Vortex hybrid rocket engines that the company I work with is building. I hope that it's powered by them, and I hope we can increase the margins so that when I was applying for the space program, NASA was advertising that this was the same as flying on an airliner. It was basically like commercial flight. And I thought about it, and I knew that wasn't quite right. But when I arrived at Johnson Space Center and started looking at the issues and the challenges that the shuttle faced, I realized that was a long ways from the truth. But I would like to reach a point in the future where access to space does become routine, and it becomes affordable, and it becomes safe, and it'll enable us to do a lot more things in space. When I was young and wanted to be an astronaut, my biggest fear was that by the time I became an astronaut, all the planets we could visit, like the moon and Mars, would have already been visited. And I would show up as an astronaut, and they would say, they would look on the board and say, well, Sid, you have the run to Mars this month. And they need more hamburgers and sodas or French fries or dehydrated food up there. So you'll be headed off, in a day or two, and then you're coming back in 6 weeks or something other. And I would basically, be going to places that had been explored before, and I wanted to be an explorer. And the most amazing thing is that, as you noticed, I've grown up, I became an astronaut, I got old, I grew white hair, not gray hair, white hair, and we still haven't been back to the moon. And we haven't been to Mars yet, and at least not in terms of humans going to Mars. So it's my dream and my hope and my effort that we can learn from this beautiful space. Every time I look at this, I'm absolutely amazed. Every time I look at the shuttle. Tom and I flew on the Endeavour, and a few years ago I took my grandkids out to Los Angeles to see the Endeavour, and I was just stunned at how big it was and everything. And I'm amazed by the vehicle every time I see it. But I hope we can learn and do better and make access to safe, reliable, and affordable, so that all those dreams that I had when I was young in terms of what we can do in space, what we can do in other planets, and things like that, those can be.
So we were talking earlier, and Tom, you mentioned to me that how many individuals have flew on the space shuttle?
So the space shuttle over 30 years took 355 individuals into space, 306 men and 49 women.
And that's a lot more than any other spaceship, I would take.
Yeah, of course. It's a bigger total than any other country has flown into space. And it's, my opinion, all the things that we know how to do well in space today, we learned on the space shuttle over its 30-year career. And those lessons have been applied on the space station, and then now, as we get ready to go back on the Artemis program to the moon, we'll take advantage of those lessons again.
Yeah, you know, when the shuttle program was ending, you know, we were asked questions and interviews about how we felt about it. One of the things I thought that stood out, you know, is international cooperation and the technology and so on. But they got a lot of people into space. We were flying. You see the crew photos. There's Tom on. I guess that's maybe your third crew there. There's 5 of you on that one. We had usually, when you guys flew together, was it 6 of you?
Yes.
Yeah. So I had 7 on my cruise. You probably flew a cruise of 7 as well. So we were getting people to space. A large number of people would be able to go, and a large number would come back. And I thought that was a big part of its legacy too. That for those years that it flew, we got a lot of people into space, relatively speaking.
Big spectrum of Americans and our partners got to go up into space on the shuttle. So we had the Apollo guys who were almost all military test pilots. Fighter pilots, then test pilots, then they got to go to space. And then the shuttle opened it up to engineers who had not been trained as pilots. And then we had a whole variety of people who had the chance to go through that military pipeline. So we began to have the first 6 women in space who were selected in 1978. And we all got to work with their colleagues, the female astronauts. And then we had African Americans, Asian Americans, we had Hispanic Americans. And so we opened up the spectrum to a whole lot more Americans and their partners to go into orbit. And that's the big gift of the shuttle, was we demonstrated that a large spectrum of humans have what it takes, the right stuff to go into space.
So one of the things that impressed me, people ask, what was the most amazing feat we were up in space? So I agree with Tom. We were able to put a lot of people up in space. But when we were up there on my first mission, they advised us on the Mir spacecraft at that time. And there were 7 of us Americans on the Columbia orbiting the Earth at the same time. And at one point, we were going to pass like 7 miles from each other. And when you're going 18,000 miles an hour, you want to be careful about collisions. If you're going to be passing within about 3 miles from each other, you start maneuvering to make sure that they didn't make a calculation error. But 7 miles is comfortable enough where you can sit back and look out the window. So we were going to pass them. They told us what window to be looking out at, and if we could see them. They looked like a bright star that went by moving much faster than the other stars. But we turned off all the lights in the shuttle, and we gathered around. If you can imagine 7 people trying to look out of one window. It's easier in space because you can be upside down and right side up and everything. But still, it was quiet, and everybody knew that was a special moment. And I thought about it. It was one of the times where you got to sort of sit back and think and breathe for a minute and contemplate. And what I realized was that although we've flown a lot of people on the space shuttle, that day there were 10 people fortunate enough to be in space, and there were 5-6 billion people on the planet. And so I felt very fortunate. What I felt was very thankful and just totally amazed, still amazed to this day, still can't quite believe it, that I was fortunate enough to be one of those people. So trust that I'm sure Tom and Mike feel exactly the same, that, we represented millions, billions of people when we were up there. We were very thankful for that opportunity, and so we're happy to share any thoughts we have with you tonight. It was amazing.
And they paid for our trips.
Yes.
Thank you.
I didn't want to remind them of that, Tom.
We were also talking earlier about, because of the crew size and we had some great camaraderie on. It was so much fun being part of a crew, and you got to know each other so well. I felt like being a family friend. There was this relationships that are just unmatched. I felt, even now, the guys I flew with.
I think the best you can compare it to is brothers and sisters.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the way I looked at it. Yeah, the people I flew with became like brothers and sisters. Yep.
And you guys flew together on Tom's first flight.
Yep.
So is there any special stories you can share? Tom was a rookie, right? Out of his 4 flights, you had him on the first, and you were the commander. So you were like Papa Bear on that one. So what was that? You guys have anything come to mind that during the training, or what was going on there?
So, Sid can't say anything bad about me, so, but I'll let you have a try afterwards.
There's nothing bad to say, Tom.
Yeah, thank you. But so. first trip on the shuttle Endeavour, and Sid was the commander. And I was the only guy who had not flown in space before. My other 5 friends had all been there before.
Guy or
so
gal. Yeah.
yeah, so we had Linda Godwin as well.
Yeah.
But we were headed for space, and I'd been waiting since I was 10 years old and looked at the rockets in the factory. It was 29 years later that I'm riding on the rocket off the Florida launch pad with Sid and our friends. And it was a very nice moment that as we climbed higher and higher, the pilot, Kevin Shilton, was saying, you know, Mach 5, Mach 7, Mach 10, and we're climbing in altitude, and eventually we got to the point where we had passed 50 miles. And that was the official NASA threshold for the border of space, 50 miles up. Now it's a metric 62 miles now is the international standard. But Sid was nice enough at 50 miles to call down on the intercom to downstairs where I was sitting and say, Tom, we just passed 50 miles. Congratulations, you're an astronaut. Thank you, Sid.
So Tom mentioned the Kevin Shilton, who, if you look him up, went on to be he wasn't very successful. He went on to be a 4-star general. I told him if he'd have listened to me, he would have gotten the 5th star, but you know, only 4. He wasn't up there with Eisenhower and, you know, Grant. And anyway, so we traveled together a lot as a crew. I mean, literally, we went and I took the crew on a camp out one time. We went on a camp out and everything to try to, you know, to make sure you build that camaraderie. I asked a previous commander. When I became a pilot, I went around and I asked all the pilots, okay, what did you not learn that you wished you had known when you flew? And they gave me a list of things. I kept track of that. So I did the same thing when I became a commander. What would you do different if you had it to do over again? And one of the commanders turned to me and he said, I would have taken my crew on a camping trip. And I'm like, what? And he said, yeah, because essentially going into space is like camping. I mean, you have to share things. You've got a small amount of space. I mean, you can't order out food, right? There's no Uber delivery. Somebody has to warm it up. The maid doesn't come in the evening and clean up after you. You got to clean up after yourself. He said, so you discover all those things on a camping trip. So that's one of the things I wanted to do. But we traveled around a bit, and we were somewhere. It might have been out. We went to Death Valley. I'm not sure where it was, but we were somewhere, and there was some talk about a snake or something or other. And Kevin was like, oh, I'm deathly afraid of snakes. And I am really, really afraid of snakes, okay? But Kevin, it was obvious to me, he was even more afraid of snakes than me. So I looked at Kevin and I said, oh, wow, we're going to have to do something. And he's like, no, Sid, I'm serious. No jokes, no nothing. No, I'm serious. Don't do anything like this. And I'm just thinking, oh, that means we absolutely have to do something. So when Kevin wasn't around, we got to talking, and I said, we got to get a snake up there on orbit. And so Tom said, you know, I've been down at the zoo in Houston, and they've got some really realistic-looking snakes in the gift shop there. So he went down and he bought one, brought it back, and we were like, yeah, that's really good. And so everything that goes on the shuttle is inventoried, and anything that is not like a normal has to be signed off all the way up to like the NASA administrator. It goes on a list and it's listed there and everything. And so I'm like, this snake is not going to cut it, you know. So you know, we're taking a snake. People are like, what's going on there? So once again, Tom comes in and Tom says, Sid, it's not a snake. It's a herpetilian model. And I'm like, what? And he says, yeah. Herpetiles, that's like the scientific name for the category that snakes fall into. And it's not just like it's a model, okay? And so NASA's used to astronauts taking up various models to teach things to people when they're on space. So and they don't know, nobody knows what a herpetilian model is. So we'll give it, so we their herpetilian model, went all the way up the chain, got signed off. Nobody called down. Nobody asked a question. Yeah, of course, herpetilian model. Absolutely, they need one of those. And So we get on orbit, and all that material has to go in something called the special flight data file, and that's where your family can give you things that surprise you when you get on orbit and stuff. So as soon as you get on orbit, you want to see those things. But the pilot and commander are stuck in their seats till they get everything set up on orbit. So we had it set up where somebody was supposed to go grab the snake out of the special flight data file and put it in my clothes locker, okay? So that then we could set up a time where we had the video camera going and everything so Kevin could discover it. And my clothes locker and Kevin's clothes locker was in what's called Equipment Bay 5. Okay, so on orbit, there are two things you don't want to happen. You don't want a decompression and you don't want a fire, okay? And so Equipment Bay 5 has all the heavy-duty electronic equipment. So if there's going to be a fire, it's going to be Equipment Bay 5. So we're on orbit the first night, and we're eating together, and everybody's kind of relaxing. And Kevin's over near Equipment Bay 5, and all of a sudden, he screams. I mean, he screams. And I'm like, fire, and I'm already headed over, darting over for the fire extinguisher. And then we look over there and we realize he opened my drawer instead of his drawer, and out came the snake. It was great. You want to add anything to it? I thought it was good. Yeah.
He was good and totally surprised. Yes. Well worth the effort.
That's a great story. We had to keep the snake out of sight for the rest of the flight because, you know, I had no idea what the response would be if all of a sudden they see we had a snake up there. But anyway, we wrapped him around a pole there, and he kind of would just float. I mean, he was like a pet while you had him up there. Just had to keep him out of the video range. Yeah.
Where is the snake now? Did Kevin keep him?
So the snake. Nobody can tell anything. Okay. So the snake.
It's all top secret.
Is in the top drawer in the chest of drawers in my bedroom, and I'm planning someday. So Kevin and I are still friends. We're going to have a reunion someday, and the snake's going to show up again and scare the daylights out of Kevin a second time. But don't tell him. Okay.
That was a great story. And you told it really well. I don't think we can top that. I don't know if you have anything else, but that was just awesome. Thank you for that.
So astronauts, you know, one thing to know. So, everywhere you go where there's a high pressure environment or whatever, one of the important things is to be humorous and play jokes on each other. And astronauts are famous for that. I mean, you need to do that in order to be relaxed at the right time.
Break the tension, right?
Yeah, I think that there really is a point to that. Michel Tonini, when I was new to the office, Michel is a French astronaut, and he said how he's talking about the composition of a crew. He was an experienced astronaut, and he says, Mike, you know, you need one funny guy on a crew. I think he was trying to find something I could do. You know, it's like, you know, my training maybe wasn't going. So he goes, Mike, you always need one funny guy on the crew, Mike, you know, to keep things light, very important. He says, but only one, Mike. If you get two, it becomes like a gang. It's no good. You won't be able to get anything done. But you always need at least one funny. But I think that's true. He's trying to break the tension and do things to keep it light. You're doing a really serious job, but the use of humor and keeping it lighthearted, and you know, you have these great stories like that. So that's one of the best ones I've ever heard. That's a great one. We're going to go to the audience and get some questions. But one last thing for you guys. It struck me as you were talking about our paths that, you know, Sid kind of went I would say, I don't know if traditional is the right word, but you know, the test pilot way, right? That's the way Neil Armstrong did it, and John Glenn and Alan Shepard. And when I was a little boy growing up in the 60s, that's all the astronauts were. And then Tom went that way as well, went to the Air Force, but wasn't a test pilot, but still a pilot, but also a PhD in planetary science. Tom, is that what so also a PhD? And so it was interesting you guys mentioned that, because when I wanted to be an astronaut, but I thought I never could. I didn't see myself growing up to be a professional pilot or a military person. But when I got to college and the shuttle was flying and I started looking into what the astronauts were then, it was, as you said, very different than when I was a little boy. Well, I wouldn't be able to submit an application because I wasn't a test pilot or a military person. But I noticed that there were a lot of civilians who were scientists and engineers, and so it opened. You never know, right? You never know how it's going to change. So I guess my last question for you guys before we go to the audience is, for all these young people here, do you have any advice of what to look forward to, or just anything, attitude, education, that looking to the future of what you think might be important for them to keep in mind?
Well, you've all been paying attention to the news, and you know that we have commercial companies that are sending people to space now. So, frankly, today, all the young people here, they have many more ways to get to space than we did as traditional government employee NASA astronauts. So now you can be, working for Blue Origin or SpaceX or Sierra Space or other companies that are up and coming that will be sending their private crew members to space, their professionals, and also, frankly, tourists are part of the new space economy as well. So you might, Virgin Galactic, right. And there are even balloon companies that are going to be sending people up to the edge of space. So you might think of the traditional NASA Explorer type astronaut, but you can also imagine that there are going to be hotel operators in space, laboratory managers in space. There'll be people who are going to be adventure tour guides in space, and you'll be having a chance to mine water on the moon, or maybe be an astrobiologist on Mars. So there are lots of different new jobs now that are coming along in space. So you can certainly take advantage of those opportunities. And I would just say, get yourself prepared as a young person. Get your math and science skills and your reading skills honed up to a high level so that you then have the toolbox full of the skills that you need to qualify in one of those areas. And the most important thing to leave you with is pick something to do as you grow up that you're really in love with, that you really enjoy. That's how you get to have the motivation to become an expert. And these companies and NASA are looking for the top expert people. If you love something, then you will be motivated to be that high-class expert that they'll come looking for. So don't sell yourself short. Pick something that you love and then be the best you can be at that.
Tom stole my thunder at the end there. Yeah, that's absolutely it. Do something you're interested in, and I like to tell young people that, here's the secret, and I tell them, don't tell anybody I ever worked for, is that I loved what I did in my life. I've loved what I've done so much that I never felt I was going to work. There was never a day where I was like, actually there was one time, I won't mention, one time at a laboratory where I felt, I'm not real excited, so I changed jobs. I mean, as soon as I wasn't excited about doing what I was doing, I was like, I'm changing jobs because I want to love what I'm doing every day I'm going into work. So do what you're interested in doing, and you'll figure out, ways to make a living at that, okay? So
that's great advice.
It may not be easy either. There will be times when you fail, when you get turned down, when you get rejected, but you pick yourself up and you find another opportunity. And all of us have experienced that, where one door closed and two more opened. And that's up to you to make that happen.
Also, don't necessarily take no for an answer, okay? So in my lifetime, there are multiple times where I was there and I was told no, and I'm like, no. That's not the answer. I'm going to get there anyway, okay? I'm just keeping going. And I had friends afterwards. I remember, without going into detail, one example in particular. Afterwards, they were like, yes, this went on for about 6 months before I got past that block, And afterwards, they were like, yeah, we were cheering you on, but none of us believed you were going to make it, okay? But don't give up, okay? Perseverance. So if there is, somebody once asked me, what's the common denominator amongst all the astronauts? Perseverance, okay? And John Young used to say, never give up. Never, ever give up. And that's how they select astronauts. That's why Apollo 13 was successful, okay? Because they never, ever gave up.
Okay, I think we're ready for go to the. You guys,
Absolutely.
Anything else before we'll go to the audience, see what they want to know?
All right, so anyone, if you have a question, raise your hand real high. I'm going to start down here.
What's your favorite thing about being an astronaut?
What's your favorite thing about being an astronaut?
I think when I was an astronaut, I thought, it was the flying in space and doing spacewalks and all that. But I really think my favorite thing about being an astronaut was the people I got to work with and those friendships I got to form that I still have today. And seeing my two friends here today, it's a really special group of people, and getting a chance to do adventurous things together and solving problems. It's a great group of, it's a great community to be a part of. So I would say my favorite thing, and the thing that I miss the most, is getting a chance to go to work with and I still go to work with some people I really love, but there was just something about being with that group of people where we had the mission in mind, we all were going in the same direction, that the mission is what mattered, and we had those same goals, and that's what I miss. I miss the camaraderie and the friendships and working together with the people I got to work with. I miss the people. That was, and for me, that was the best part, looking back on it.
Okay, down here.
What's your favorite planet?
What's your favorite planet?
Mars is my favorite planet. I'm a planetary scientist, so I study the solar system, and asteroids are my favorite mini planet, or microplanet, if you will. But Mars has got the climate that's most like the Earth, so it's conceivable that we could someday live there and establish a settlement on Mars by harvesting the water that's there, converting the atmosphere to breathable oxygen. So it's got the potential for humans to live in a somewhat reasonable way on Mars. We can make greenhouses and grow crops and so on. So, if we're going to survive as human beings over the next few thousands of years, we actually have to have more than one planet to live on, because we might have an asteroid strike our wonderful Earth here, or we might have like a very devastating virus. No, that could never happen. So we got to have a place where we have humans on multiple planets, so if something goes wrong on one, we're going to all live as a species going forward. If the dinosaurs had a space program, they'd still be alive today.
All right, done here.
What is it like being in space?
So, what is it like being in space? It's the best way to describe it is it's very natural. So as soon as you get up there, you realize you're in a weightless environment because you see things floating around you. You don't feel different. And when you think about how you feel, you're like, I just feel natural. And so that floating around feels very natural. The other amazing thing about being in space is to be able to look out the window and see so far and see so much of the planet Earth. And like this. And the thing that amazed me the most about that was when I came back from space, I thought, not seriously, I didn't lead any effort or whatever, but I thought we ought to change the national anthem to America the Beautiful. Because as you fly around the world, you see a lot of beautiful places in the world. But it's hard to find another place in the world that has all the prairies, the mountains, the rivers, the coastline. It's just such a beautiful place to be in America. And so, we're very fortunate, every one of us.
My friend down here just wants to say he likes astronauts and he thinks you guys are really cool. And my friend over here has a question as well.
What's a microplanet?
What's a microplanet?
So I was talking about asteroids, and that's the leftovers of how the planets formed. The Earth got built out of this cloud of dust and gas that was surrounding the sun 4.5 billion years ago. And so all of this dust and gas got sucked up by the growing planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and so on. But there were some leftovers. And so these protoplanets, or protoplanetesimals is the scientific name for the little shards, the leftovers that became later the asteroids and the comets. They're just little tiny mountain-sized chunks of leftovers from the building of the planets.
Yes, so some years ago, I think during the Obama administration, they started naming a lot of these microplanets after people. And somebody sent me an email one day where I didn't even know it. One of these microplanets had been named after me. And yeah. And so I told my friends, I said, they just named a microplanet after me. And they said, yeah, Sid, it's a microplanet.
Ouch. right down here.
How much money do you get?
When we were astronauts, we were paid on the government pay scale. So I can't remember exactly what it was. I never really paid attention to the money. I mean, I was very happy to have the job. But you can look it up, government service. You can see what the astronauts make now if you go online. You can look under the GS, the government service level of what astronauts get paid. That'll tell you. I will say this, so we did get a flight bonus. Did you guys get a flight? No, we didn't get any flight bonus. So we didn't get any flight pay, right? We didn't get any, at least I didn't as a civilian. I don't know if you guys got flight pay or something, but.
Not only did we, so I'm not complaining.
Right. We're not complaining. We would have done it for free.
Not only did we, absolutely, we would have done it for free, but not only did we not get any bonuses, but there are thousands of people that support you on every mission. People at the Cape, people at Johnson Space Center, people doing this for you, people doing that for you. And you have a series, and you want to thank all those people. So you have parties where you celebrate, you know, and you need to have some goodies for them and some things for them to drink, and it costs money. And so one of the jobs as commander is to go around to your crew and say, okay, there's a new tax. We're having a new party for somebody. Everybody, this is your share of it or whatever. So it actually costs you money to fly. But I mean, it's great to see all those people that have, you know, done so much for you. And particularly when you come back, that's when you really, I mean, when you land and they're there to greet you and everything, and you remember all the things they taught you, all the things they did for you that enabled you to be successful. And and that's when you have the biggest party of all. It's called a splashdown party. So, yeah. And that's a really good party.
Yeah, so we didn't get any hazardous duty pay. We didn't get any overtime or comp time. But we did get a little extra. I don't know if you guys remember this. When I was in my first flight, and working for the government, right, you would go on a trip. You would get travel orders, right? So a travel order, say you're in Houston and you're going to go to Washington, D.C. for a meeting. You would get these travel orders, and it would say, you know, from Houston, Texas to Washington, D.C. and return, and this much for the, you know, lodging, and you get a per diem for your meals and all that stuff, and it'd all be listed out. It's all free. You know, it's a government thing, and all it's kind of the county accountant does all this work, and this is how much money you have to go, and you have to sign your travel orders. It's all official, you know, government accounting. So we're getting ready to go on my first flight to the launch, and the secretary comes in and says, Mike, we need you to sign your travel orders. I'm like, travel orders for what? She goes, to go to space. I'm like, come on, it's a joke. She goes, no, it's not. And it's a government operation. So I look at these travel orders, and it says, from Kennedy Space Center, Florida, to low Earth orbit, and return. I was very happy to see that. Yeah. That at least they're planning to get me back, right? And then it had all this stuff, just like regular travel orders, right? It had lodging, and it said provided, because you're going to sleep on a spaceship. Meals, provided. You're gonna eat on a spaceship. Everything was provided. You know, transportation provided. You're gonna fly on the spaceship. So everything was 0, 0, 0, 0, except miscellaneous and incidental expenses, $3 a day, something like that. So when you return from space, no matter forever how many days, you $3 a day. That's what you got, because they couldn't figure out. Maybe they figured it out now. They didn't figure out how to zero it out. And the best part about it, since it was like a reimbursement, was tax-free. So $3 a day was what you got.
Yeah, and I tried to trace that down, and as near as I could tell, it went back to Civil War days when you had to pay to get laundry done.
Is that right?
Yeah. That's what the $3 was for laundry and stuff like that. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, over here.
It's a great job. Don't worry about the money. Do what you like. It's great. It was well worth it. Okay, go ahead.
How hard was it to slow down the space shuttles before landing on the Earth?
Okay, well, I'll let you comment on that, but very quickly, to get back home, when you're falling around the planet at 17,500 miles an hour on the shuttle, you only have to slow down by about 200 miles an hour to get it to dip into the outer reaches of the atmosphere. And then the air molecules bumping up against the ship will start to drag it and slow it down. So the rockets only fire for about 2.5 minutes to slow you down by 200 miles an hour. And then half an orbit later, you're going to start to run into the air. And then that begins the process of heating up the heat shield, but all of that heat means drag and a deceleration force that will eventually be guided by the autopilot to a landing site. And that's where Sid, the commander, would take over to fly the ship.
When is it too late to decide that you want to be an astronaut?
When is it too late?
How old?
Yeah. I don't know if I know people selected when they were like 42, I think.
Yeah, John Phillips in our class was, we called him Fossil. He was the oldest. Selection, he was, I think, 44, 45, maybe. But I don't think, and they may have had some, there's no age discrimination. So, I mean, legally, there's no age discrimination. So there's no necessary, like, official limit for that.
As long as you pass the physical, and they think that they'll get enough work out of you over the next 10 years or so to get the return on the training that they put into you, then they consider you eligible to be hired. So there's no formal age limit. And I flew with a guy on my third flight who was 61, and that record has been eclipsed by several people since then. But there's no retirement age for astronauts as long as they've got opportunities and you pass the flight physical.
Was that Story?
Story.
Yeah, he was 61, but he behaved like he was like about 18 or 19 most of the time. So.
Don Pettit, my astronaut classmate, is in space right now. Don, and I don't know how it's going to work out, but he might be turning 70 years old in space. So Don was in my astronaut class 28 years ago now when we were selected, and he was one of the older guys in our class when he was selected. He applied like 6 or 7 times to be an astronaut. He got rejected. He got interviewed a bunch of times. Then they didn't interview him, and then he got picked in my class when he was one of the older guys. And now they can't get rid of the guy. And so he's up in space right now. Have a good thought for him. But so yeah, as long as you got to stay healthy, and it's possible.
Yeah, they keep sending Don to space, but he keeps coming back.
Over here.
If one person can be on the moon, then why can't other astronauts? I mean, aren't they also qualified?
Could you run that by us again? Maybe
So
go ahead,
I
Alicia.
think basically the people who went onto the moon, how do you get qualified to be on the moon, and how do they get selected to be able to do it? Oh, why have no astronauts been to the moon since the last time we went to the moon? Is that what? Aren't they also qualified?
So you need a very special spacecraft in order to get from the Earth to 200,000 miles to the moon and then orbit the moon and land on the moon and come back. And the space shuttle didn't have that capability. It was designed to go into low Earth orbit around the Earth and then come back and land on the Earth. And so the United States, at that point, hadn't made the decision to return to the moon. Now they have. They're working on a spacecraft that can take us back to the moon. So in the future, astronauts will have an opportunity to build facilities on the moon, do additional research on the moon, perhaps return valuable elements and products like helium-3 and things like that from the moon.
Within the next 3 years or so, we'll probably see the first Americans and their partners go back to the moon, we hope. Cross your fingers.
And this time it'll be to stay, don't you think? Yeah, it was the most amazing accomplishment, I think, or one of the most amazing accomplishments in history was the landing on the moon, and that was really hard. And it's even harder to go there and stay, and that's what we're trying to do next. And it's taken a long time for us to get back to do that, but hopefully that'll be happening soon, where we can put a settlement there and a research station and have people there, more like we have on the International Space Station. They're more of a permanent presence there.
All right, over here.
So have you ever returned back to Earth and then forgot gravity existed?
Oh, my favorite story about that is I came back from my 18-day trip, the longest I had, on Columbia. And we got off the shuttle and we got transported in a van over to the medical lab. And they do tests on you when you take your blood pressure and temperature. And so I was getting my checkup, and they said, "Tom, would you like something cold?" Of course, that would be wonderful. So they had a glass of cold grape juice, purple grape juice. It looked really good. And so the nurse handed me the glass of grape juice in the brand new laboratory, and I forgot how you have to squeeze the glass to hold it. I thought it was just going to float in front of me. So it just went whoop right through my fingers and splatted on the floor. On their brand new carpet is this big purple grape juice stain. And I said, they're never going to invite me back here again. So, yeah, you have to take a couple of days to remember how to hold things again.
All right, right behind her.
Hi, thank you for paving the way and being an inspiration for so many of us. As a former Boeing engineer, I'm very, very curious if you have any thoughts that you'd be okay with sharing about the current situation with Starliner.
Sure. I think I haven't heard much since it got back. But I watched the press conference and was keeping up with what was going on with the flight. It was a test flight. From what the folks who were in charge, who we all know, Steve Stitch and Dana Weigel, people who trained us, Ken Bowersock's a good friend of ours, they got about 90% of their objectives done. I mean, a big thing was to get the crew back inside, but that unfortunately didn't happen. But they learned a lot about the spacecraft. They learned about how to use the thrusters. A big problem they had was with their thrusters being able to steer. They've learned a lot about it. It doesn't even seem like, from what they were how they used them. They got them a little bit too hot, apparently, the way they were being used. So it looks as though they're going to be able to hopefully requalify it so it can fly again without too many changes. I think that maybe is an optimistic view, but I think that might be the case. And I think anything's possible. They may be able to fly it again on an operational flight with crew on board. What do you guys say?
So I think, what they learned after they launched the vehicle in terms of things heating up and things changing when they used the thrusters, maybe more than they had planned or whatever. I think that drove them to the decision to not take a chance on bringing the astronauts back. And I think that was a very good decision, okay? So I look at that decision making, and I think that was a good decision. And, the astronauts that are up there, they'll enjoy being up there a little bit longer, but it's like if you go on a one-week trip and wind up staying 6 months, that's a little bit different. So that'll be different for them, but I think the right decision, and they're professionals and they understand, that those are that's the way you make professional decisions.
All right, we have time for just a couple more questions. We have one over here.
What does space smell like?
Well, I went on 3 spacewalks on my trip to help build the space station. And so when I came back inside with my friend Bob Kirby, we closed the outer door and we let the air back into the airlock. And then you take your helmet and your gloves off with the help of your friends. And so the first thing I smelled was sort of a burnt electrical insulation smell, or maybe the smell of like burning fireworks or gunpowder. And only when I got my nose close to my spacesuit did I really smell that. But in that airlock area, it lasted for a few minutes. So some people call that the smell of space. What I think it is that when you're outside in a spacewalk, the little tenuous atmosphere that's left up that high, 220 miles up, is mostly little individual atoms of oxygen, oxygen atoms. And then when you come back inside, you let the atmosphere back in the airlock, it's oxygen, O2. That's the molecules that we're breathing right now. So O2 and O add up to O3, which is an element or a compound called ozone. And so that form of oxygen, ozone, has that insulation smell. You often smell it when there's overheating wiring, and it creates ozone in the local atmosphere around the hot wire. So that's what I think it is. In the cabin in just a few minutes. What's your experience?
That's a great explanation of it. I just noticed that not only when I took my helmet off, but on we had 2. I was one of the spacewalking teams on my missions. We had another one. So while they were still in their suits, we could open up the hatch and go in there and take a smell of what it smelled like. Because I wanted to smell this because I had a heads up. I remember Sergei Krikalev, one of my first astronaut office meetings. They had come back. I forget whatever flight he was on, and he said that the odor that he smelled in the airlock on the shuttle was the same that he smelled in the airlock on Mir. And I was like, well, what is this all about? And I asked him about it, and he says that smell of space. So I wanted to see what it was like. Yeah, it was SCS-88. So I wanted to smell it, and what I thought it might have been, Tom, was like the outgassing of the metal of the orbiter. because it has a very metallic, like that burnt metallic smell. But I like your explanation. I haven't heard that explanation. Have you heard that before? That's a good one.
It's scientific too.
It's very scientific. He had O and O2, and you know, I but I had that.
I think we can repeat that. Yeah.
I think it's good. Even one and two is 3. That's what it is. The O3, the ozone. But I hadn't heard the explanation of. I think that's right on because it has this. It's kind of metallic, but it really is more of a burnt smell than metal kind of smells. So that's what we think smell. So do you actually think that's what if you could come off and take a whiff, you think vacuum would smell like?
Yeah, I think the little oxygen individual atoms are sticking to the outside of your spacesuit. You're bringing back in.
Yeah.
And they're atomic deep. You let the air back in, you get O2 plus O, and you get O3.
I like
and then that dissipates very rapidly inside the larger volume of the cabin here.
I like that better than the outgassing because the outgassing wouldn't be the smell of space. It's the smell of the metal outgassing. So that's
try it out
cool.
for yourself.
All right, and we have time for one last question. But again, everyone, if you have other questions, they will be signing over there, and you can ask as many as you want. Go ahead.
So when I saw in some pictures that you guys had like black hair, and now you have.
I did not know what she was going to ask. I apologize.
So how many days were you in space?
You know, I don't know. You know, in our flights, we all take, radiation and other things happen to us. When I came back from my first, I had dark hair on my first flight, or darker. I didn't have much gray hair. And I got back, and about 2 weeks later, I was out at Ellington Field doing something, getting ready to go flying. Jeff Ashby comes up to me. He goes, "What's going on with the white hair?" I'm like, "I don't know." And I looked, and I started going gray right after my space flight. And I didn't even have a gray period. It went right to white. I don't even have. I wish I had gray hair. I went right to white. I don't think NASA's telling me everything. I think there's something they're just keeping. Don't tell them about it. So I don't know. I'm mystified myself.
All right, everyone. Thank you all so much. Here, let me just straight out here. One more round of applause, everyone, for our amazing astronauts here. Thank you three so much.
Thanks for coming.
All right, everyone. So, thank you for joining us up here. Again, if you have any other questions or if you'd like to take photos or have anything signed, we're going to line up right back there for the signing. Excellent. All right. But thank you so much again for tuning in from home and coming out here for our Astronomy Night and NASA Explorer Day. Again, I'd like to give a special shout out to our ASL interpreters as well as our Spanish language translators who've been here all night with us as well. Thank you so much for that. And we'll be lining up right back there, as many of you see already, for the signing. If you haven't already picked up your copy, we still have plenty of them back in the gift shop back there, so please do make sure you do that as well. And then afterwards, make sure that you head out to our flight deck, where we're going to be doing some stargazing with our Amateur Astronomers Association. For those of you watching at home, though, thanks so much again for tuning in, and everyone else, have a great rest of your astronomy night. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Oh, that was pretty good, man. That was, hey, yeah, there we go. That was pretty good. That was great. Those are some pretty good questions. How about the dork that asked the question about Starliner? They're all like, all right. Oh boy, that's good stuff, man. Good stuff. It's always cool seeing astronauts talk. Yeah, that's why I asked if you guys wanted to see that or if you wanted to see more Satisfactory. We still got some time. Let the kids ask questions. Yeah, dude, how much of it? It's like, what are you doing? This is for children. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do that for? What are you gonna do that for, man? You had Massimino on here back in the day. I've talked to him on stream multiple times. Yeah, I had him and I talked to him on stream, when Das and I used to do Intrepid events. I mean, Das is there right now. He's doing the camera work. I interviewed Garrett Reisman on here a couple of times too about Dragon. Believe it or not, when he was working for SpaceX, Garrett Reisman had a lot of feedback on Dragon. You can see him and Mike on Two Funny Astronauts, which is on NSF's channel, which is pretty rad. Yeah, two funny dudes, dude. Yeah, Mike and Garrett are funny. I'd love to hang out with him. That'd be hilarious. It'd be a good time. You don't even have to talk about space. It'd just be pretty sweet. I really enjoyed that panel. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it, guys. I'm glad you liked it. Okay, so we do have a little bit of time before racing. We're doing Brands Hatch at GT3, but yeah, perhaps some satisfactory, perhaps face the wall. Maybe it's up to you. Did you test out the thing? I didn't, man. I did not. I did not. We can implement that over the weekend. Did you get the Antonovs? I have one Antonov that's flying over the runway right now, Darkside. And it turns out you also need a control tower, and the control tower needs to be staffed. And there's nobody out there. Did you see the video I DM'd you? I don't get any DMs. Oh, yeah, Vin, I don't know what this is. What do you, what? Why? Why? Why is there there's a picture of something on fire? I don't understand. Face the biscotti. Wait, what? Snake Story was amazing. Did you ever put in the RAM in the old machine? No, I didn't, Tessa. I figured out what was wrong. It's synergy, but I will. I will. I have a lot on my plate lately, dude. A lot on my plate, on the plateau. Let's build a spaceship after listening to talk about spaceships. I don't have enough time before that in racing, dude. I mean, it's up to you guys. So eat less and exercise more. You know what? It's not up to you guys. I'll turn on workers, man. I want to play Satisfactory, but I also want to play workers. Satisfactory? All right, we'll play Satisfactory. That's what I had planned on doing.